Well, good evening, everybody. I thought I would do a little live hangout in case you guys had forgotten that we actually existed. We're actually joined today by Anthony Riley and Nathan. Nathan, you there? Nah, he's not there, is he? And Anthony, are you there? No. Well, they are there, but they're not there. What's he put here, Nathan? What's he going on about? What's up? Let's see what's his problem. Anthony, are you there? Anybody? Right, so it looks like Nathan's dropped and Anthony's just on silent at the minute. But we are joined by the special guest, which I was hoping would join actually today. Diana Flat Earth, hello.
Hi.
Hiya.
Give me a second. Hold
No.
on. I just had like a really bad allergic reaction, so like my face is swollen and stuff.
Don't worry about it. My face is quite swollen most of the time. I put that down to the amount of food that I've been eating recently, so I honestly wouldn't worry about it.
Where are you located? You said it's 7 p.m. where you're at?
Yeah, well, we're all from the UK, so
Oh,
you might have seen my channel around, Ranty Flat Earth. You might have seen Sleeping Warrior around and Nathan Oakley with his debates.
okay.
Have you seen any of them?
I haven't. I'm still kind of new to like the flat earth movement actually. So
Right, because I saw a hit piece on you.
yeah.
It was perhaps about a week ago, and I thought it was so unfair, really so unfair, that I had to sort of like bring you on to help you increase your visibility to the wider world, because essentially you are doing great work over there. And what you tend to see happening is that any newcomer to the flat earth movement always gets attacked, and you're no exception. You're doing exceptional work. I mean, your latest video about Antarctica was just wow.
Thank you.
So do you want to tell my audience a little bit about yourself?
Um, you know what's crazy? I wasn't originally trying to do a channel regarding flat earth. I just stumbled upon it one day. Um, I mean, I don't know if you guys want to know any personal info. I'm 26. I live in Vegas, but I'm originally from California. But yeah, I wasn't setting out to do like a flat earth channel or anything like that. I just basically I stumbled upon it and I found some information that was cool. And so I just decided to start making videos about it. And then I realized that I got a lot of interesting feedback. And I was like, oh shit, like I can really like, talk about this. Like people are actually interested in what I have to say. So yeah, and I've gotten like the greatest feedback and the worst from these videos, but it doesn't matter to me. Like even with this is probably I think the third reaction video that I've seen that was negative about like something that I posted. So I don't really care. Um, I know like there are people that are just set out to like completely debunk whatever we have to say. So I don't really like, I don't really care. It sucks that I did get so much bad feedback, but at the same time, um, I know it kind of comes with the territory.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're right over the money with this, and that is what's going to happen. Essentially, we are going to get targeted. And I've noticed, I've been in flat Earth now for 2 years. When I first started off, it was just the same. In fact, it's even worse now for me because essentially I'm doing these observations that kind of destroy their globe proofs. So I am getting a lot of heat at the moment. However, I have seen that it's a typical mentality of these guys to go after the new channels. All the new channels that are coming out, starting to do experiments with the P900, or even just investigating the flat Earth. When they put content out, they seem to be descended on by this mob mentality to try and push them away as before they even get started. So unless you've got a very thick skin, you are going to sod this for a living. I can't put up with this. I'm not going to get called that. And you're never going to go near it again. And that's what they want, because the more people that join this, from the grassroots and go up, it's going to be more difficult for them. So they're attacking you unfairly, I must say. I have to say.
Yeah. And that's what I was thinking too. I'm like, since I'm a new channel, they're probably gonna just like go after me because I'm a new channel and think that I'm just gonna stop talking about the stuff. But I've researched so much about it in the past 8 months or so that I don't have a problem with people like coming against me or anything. And then like my what kind of validated me was the fact that so many big flat earthers who had, you know, big platforms and stuff were subscribing to me, like Eric Dubay, Flat Earth and Other Hot Potatoes, Mark Sargent. And I've been speaking to like a bunch of like flat earthers that have bigger platforms and stuff. And so once I saw that, I was just like, oh, well, obviously I know what I'm talking about if people like that are subscribing to me, you know?
Well, that's it. I mean, I imagine that you've probably put on an awful lot of subscribers in the past week. And if I remember correctly, when I first looked at your channel, you had less than 100 subscribers, and this was perhaps a week ago. So am I right in saying that in the last week or so, you've put on at least 150?
Probably about 100, because I think I was like right at 100 subscribers.
Right. Okay. So yeah, that seems to be about where I recall it being. I've just put your channel link in the actual chat now for my subscribers if they want to go over and link you in. Oh, by the way, we are joined by Sleeping Warrior, who's actually in the house.
Yo.
Sleeping Warrior is actually undertaking a master's in law, but he's actually challenging the education system, specifically the shape of the Earth.
No, specifically the national curriculum. With regards to what it teaches, it doesn't teach us that this area is contentious. And I only found out when I was 36 that this was contentious. And until then, I was happily living under my little rodent rock. And once I realized it were contentious, I was like, why did I not get told this before now? How is it that I've stumbled across it accidentally on the internet? And we should get told that this shit's not agreed upon. This shit is contentious. And we should get told that not everybody believes A, B, and C. We shouldn't just get told that this is the way it is because derpa, derpa, derpa. We should get told that it's contentious, and it pisses me off that we don't.
Right.
Well, how I stumbled across Diana was essentially, if you've heard of the channel Team Skeptic, now he's having a bit of a back and forth with a fairly reasonable flat earther, and it's got to the point now where this interaction between the two made me look at Team Skeptic's video, and I saw that he'd done a hit piece on a flat earther. It was you, of course, and I went into to listen to what he had to say, and I thought it was so unfair. I mean, I know what he was trying to say. He was basically saying, if you have a baby and you place it in the bath, right, something will happen. Either the baby will float or the baby will sink. That was it. It was just a matter of fact. I'm assuming that I'm assuming that you're a mother, yeah? Are you?
Yeah, not to cut you off or whatever. That wasn't even, I swear, I don't even know. I never even watched his version or whatever, or his reaction, because I've seen some of his reactions to other flat earthers. And the whole time, all he says is, you're a fucking idiot. So to me, like, somebody trying to debunk me or anything like that, I'm not going to listen to them if they're just insulting me. I don't have to listen to what you have to say if you're just going to sit there and insult.
I agree.
Because talk to people who are globe earthers, I don't ever insult them, call them idiots or out their name or anything like that. I do say that people are indoctrinated, but we all know that, but I don't ever insult people. So like when people come at me that way, I don't even respond. I don't even care. So I never even watched it. However, that wasn't the first thing that I said. The first thing that I said was, I was saying that basically, like, the way I was explaining it, I knew I was explaining it wrong after I did the video, because what I said on the paper was complete opposite. I was talking about mass when I was talking about weight when I was supposed to be talking about mass. But anyway, I was saying, like, because of our mass or whatever, we float in like large bodies of water, like a swimming pool or whatever. And then like we wouldn't float in like a bathtub, but like somebody who was smaller probably would, like a baby or a toddler. I didn't mean like put your baby in a fucking bathtub and drown them. I never said that.
Yeah, I knew that instinctively. As soon as you said it, I knew that he was he was misrepresenting what you were trying to say. He made a massive mountain out of a molehill.
Of just like crazy comments. And I was on vacation. I had a lung infection, all kinds of stuff. So I really like didn't have the energy to even like combat the whole thing. Like I wasn't feeling well. And then like all of a sudden, like I get all this hate out of nowhere. It was crazy, but it made me laugh a little bit because I understood what I was trying to say. And then after the fact, he sent me a comment because I didn't even know, like when they were coming at me, I didn't even know about the video at that point. When I saw all these comments, I didn't know why. I just assumed maybe somebody reacted to the video, but I didn't know it was him. And so when I did a response to everything that was going on, I had no idea that he had even said anything. And then so he sends a comment on that video and he's like, because people were calling me an idiot anyway. So I was just responding to people who were calling me a fucking idiot in the comments. And then he sends a response like, you know, I did the video because of what you were insinuating or suggesting, blah, blah, blah. And then he basically offered for me to come on his platform to explain what I meant and stuff like that. And I declined him because I'm like, you can't, you know, call me out of my name and send people after me and, you know, say all this horrible shit and then offer for me to come on your channel. And then in the comment, he said that he's very respectful to people who come on his channel. But to me, it doesn't seem like that. If you're calling me an idiot on your video, that's not respectful.
Who are you talking about? Which baller?
Team Skeptic.
Oh, I'm not overly familiar. I know the name, but there's so many out there that do the same thing. They take something that you say, twist it because they literally want it to be in its worst possible light, and then represent it in a different context that was never meant, but somehow interpreted, and somehow make it out that you're the idiot. I get it all the time, and I mean, I've got literally, I'm reading a comment now. The problem is you don't understand the evidence given. No, actually, I totally understand it, you utter moron. You don't understand what I understand. Why are you telling me that you do? Stupid.
Yeah, the idea that you can't say something like, if you was to drop a leaf on a pond, the leaf would float. Yeah, that's a simple observable fact that you've probably seen many times. The same as if you're a parent, you probably have bathed your baby in the water, in the bath. You probably know what happens and you're just making a generalization. The same as if you said, if I had a brick and I threw it in a pond, it would sink. It's exactly the same thing. So when he took your words literally, like you were threatening to drown a baby or something, and sent all those trolls over to your channel, I was disgusted.
People were like telling me that I should be executed, that I should get my children taken away if I have any. And like, I have 3 children. So like, that was like, really like, are you serious? Like, why would I insinuate something like that? And even in the video, I said, don't actually do this experiment because like, you shouldn't, like the baby will probably drown if you put it in too much water. But I'm just saying as an example, I said that in the video. That is literally what I said after I said that.
It. Honest to God, don't worry about it. Just let it go.
Yeah, I'm not like, honestly, like I'm not even like upset about it or anything like that. Like, I don't really care. But, you know, since, you know, you guys brought it up, like, you know, but honestly, like I'm so over it.
Well, and the reason I wanted to bring it up was because essentially what these trolls don't realize is that we're all segregated in the flat earth. So, and I mean that as like, YouTube algorithms don't show us new channels that come out. We have to be told about a new channel, or somebody else has to present a new channel, and then we like, oh, we go over and find it. We can't find these channels by ourselves. We're kept separate. The algorithm keeps us apart. So when he did you a massive favor, actually, because he highlighted your channel, and when he highlighted your channel, he probably sent not just myself over there. He sent, like you say, Eric Dubé went over there, Mark Sargent. There's a lot of people that went over to your channel, checked what had actually been said, probably felt just as I did that you'd been misrepresented and wanted to support you. But then when they looked at the work that you're actually doing, they thought, hey, look, this girl knows her stuff. Let's give her some support, give her a leg up. So in effect, him targeting you has actually helped you in the long run. Because from now on, your channel is just going to grow and grow. Your education is going to get better and better with the Flat Earth movement. You're going to learn so much more stuff. You're going to get a lot of this message is going to go to a lot more people. And you've got to thank Team Skeptic for that.
Oh yeah, and I can't wait until I get a camera. When I get that camera, oh my God, I'm so excited. I'm so excited because I've done enough research regarding like Flat Earth from like, you know, just research from like my own common sense, reading books, reading the Bible, hell, like all kinds of stuff to like to point where I'm just like, I just need a camera now. I just need a camera.
What role does the Bible play for you in this discussion?
Well, I started reading basically, like, okay, when I first found out about flat Earth, I did follow. I subscribed to Rob Skiba, and I saw like all of his information about like stuff in the Bible about like the shape of the Earth and stuff like that. And so it made me like want to dig deeper. And so I started hearing about, well, my dad told me about the book of Enoch. And he told me that growing up, his grandmother always told him that the earth was flat, my great grandmother. So, and he was telling me about like stuff in like old Bibles that he saw from like scriptures that had been taken out and stuff like that. And so I started reading about it and I found out about the Apocrypha. And so I started reading the book of Enoch and Jasher and Jubilee and all these different things. And they're all saying all this shit about the earth being flat and about the circumference of the sun and the moon and how they're luminaries. And like it just all started to make sense from what I saw from the experiments that I saw being done on YouTube and stuff like that. So I was just like, oh, like this makes sense. And then so also like when I started reading the Apocrypha and like it kind of like made Genesis make more sense to me. And then like the reason for the flood. And then like it kind of like makes fairy tales and shit make sense too. Like a bunch of stuff. So I don't know. It's just interesting.
Yeah, my view on it is I was brought up like Nathan was, Christian, brought up with the Bible teaching and all that. And then me and Nathan are both very much in the same point in life in that we don't follow the Bible at all. We're aware of it. We were taught it, but we're kind of like agnostic. And I know that sounds like terrible to say.
I'm agnostic too. That's the funny part.
Yeah. And I don't reference it at all. However, it pisses the ballers off really bad when you tell them that there's more evidence for Noah's Ark than there is for gravity or axial rotation. They hate it, but they immediately come back with, "Oh, you're a fundamental Christian," and it's like, I'm absolutely not. But the fact is, you guys can't prove your religion. You cannot prove it, and they all think they can, and they ridicule it. But it's simply the case that there is more evidence for Noah's Ark than there is for gravity, and they hate it. So it's like you may as well spit it at them because they hate it that much.
Right.
So so just saying a little bit about ourselves. From England, there's quite a lot of flat earthers in England that do these kind of shows and, put this kind of content out. Is it the same in America with you? I mean, do you see it over there a lot?
Not really, but people are open to the idea from just the people that I've met. I've only been living in Vegas for about 10 months and I just started researching about flat Earth maybe 8 months ago. And a lot of people that I've met here, they seem to be open to the idea, but people here, they're like from all over. It's like a melting pot here in Vegas because it's such a transient city. So you meet people from all over. You meet people from overseas and stuff like that. And they all have different ideas. But I've actually met probably like 2 or 3 people who have been like really, really into it the way I am. And then everybody else has been kind of like on the fence, but I haven't met anybody that's completely like a globe earther.
Right. Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah. Not here in Vegas. I don't know about California or anything like that, but yeah, or anywhere else in the United States. But I know just here in Vegas, like I've met a lot of people who are like, oh, you actually, that seems interesting.
So do you think it's more like the idea that, I mean, let's first start what your opinion is with 9/11. So
Nathan, mute your watch page. God.
Oh my God. Sorry. This tea is really hot and I'm trying to finish it. Hold on.
Are you there, Nathan?
Yeah, that's not me. That's just a quirk of Google Hangouts. I was on mute.
I'm blaming you anyway. I don't care what you say. You have no evidence to prove it wasn't.
Deanna, by the way, this is Nathan Oakley. He has daily debates. Are you still there, actually?
Yeah, sorry. I went in the kitchen really quick. I'm on a detox, so I was like drinking tea.
Yeah, no worries. So Nathan, he holds daily debate shows where he brings the globe Earth versus the flat Earth to debate. And, he has quite a good following right now. So this is Deanna. Deanna's a new flat Earth, Nathan.
Hey, Deanna. Good to meet you.
Hi, nice to meet you.
So you were saying about 9/11? Sorry, go on, Deanna. Sorry, I disturbed you. I'm sorry.
No, I was saying that I think I've seen a couple of his videos before. The name looks familiar. I've seen so many different like videos on YouTube. So like sometimes I'll just like binge watch videos and I'll see the name and maybe I won't subscribe or I will, but like I just put stuff on autoplay and just like sometimes just watch all day because I just love the information.
Well, if you've seen Nathan's debates, you would be in there every single day listening to the excellent information that comes out from there. So, Deanna, 9/11, what do you think? Do you think that was, do you think most people know that that was an inside job, or do they actually think that it fell the way it did?
I don't think it fell the way it did. I've watched a bunch of videos on it, like the way the planes went down and how one of them, you don't see a plane go into the building, it just collapses from like the middle.
Yeah, notwithstanding the fact that you need 3 planes to pull 3 buildings down, they only had 2.
Exactly. And
Nope. Can't even get their head around that. And we have to listen to them about the shape of the Earth, and they don't get that you need 3 planes for 3 buildings, and that's assuming that a plane can do it. Ridiculous.
Listen, the Globers have just told us that rains diamonds from some distant planet, yet they don't even know what's 15 miles deep under our own Earth. This is the level that we're dealing with when we're talking about the Globers and the scientific knowledge that they have.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the reason I mentioned 9/11, Deanna, was because I think everybody, also probably at least 80% of people, I would imagine, know that 9/11 wasn't the way it was told. And yet there's no real uprising over it. Everyone seems to know, and they're just like, yeah, okay, yeah, it's a bit like that. But with what you just said about the flat Earth, and you said that most people that you seem to know aren't really a globe Earth believer. Do you think it's the same sort of thing that we instinctively know that the Earth is flat?
I think that's what our senses tell us, but we just don't want to believe it because there's people in the media and people like higher up telling us that our senses are not true. I just think like we just rather believe, you know, people who are popular. You know what I'm saying? Like think about what's that guy? One of the Paul brothers. Now all of a sudden he's starting to talk about flat Earth, and now everybody's like, "Oh my God, I want to talk about it now." But before then, before anybody popular, like super popular, was talking about it, everybody was so against it.
There's 5 stages. Anthony, do you want to discuss these 5 stages?
Yeah, stupid, 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 and then eventually intelligent. And most of the ballers are stuck at stage 1.
I think it's a little that was a little bit compressed. Do you think you could be a little more specific?
Well, I'd have to get the diagram up. I don't have it open at the minute. Do you want me to actually get the diagram up?
Yeah, well, if you can get it up and then just walk it, you know, just explain when we're talking about this kind of stuff is that the first sign of any new idea or thought being true is essentially ridicule.
Yeah, 3 stages of truth. The first stage is ridicule. When a new idea or concept is brought up, it is so strange that it is completely absurd. People cannot fathom the idea and how it fits into their lives, so they simply laugh at how impossible it seems. Second stage is opposition. After a new concept hasn't made it past the first stage, people begin to worry that it's here to stay. A few might support the concept, but most will resist because they see it as a threat to everything that they're familiar with. And the third stage is self-evident. There is an increasing evidence that supports the idea, which goes from having only a few early supporters to now entering the mainstream. A majority of people support the fact and come out to accept it as given. I think we're somewhere between ridicule and opposition at the minute, somewhere between stage 1 and stage 2. But I think once we get past stage 1 into stage 2, it won't be long before we get to stage 3, the self-evident truth. Because it's not far off the mainstream now. It is in mainstream, but it's still in the ridicule stage.
Nathan, what do you think? Are you there?
I don't know. What do you want me to say?
Well, where do you think? Do you think we're being ridiculed, or do you think we're the ones ridiculing the globe right now?
In our tiny little corner of flat Earth debate, when it was running, I think it was us ridiculing them. You know, when I go into the chats at the moment, I don't feel like anybody's got anything to actually offer in terms of a decent argument anymore. It's just picking away the fallacies that they present. So, but on a wider scale, no, absolutely, we're ridiculed as flat earthers. You know this.
It's not as ridiculed as it used to be, though. It's getting less ridicule, and it's now more valid opposition. That's people are actually questioning stuff, because I was meant to have that interview with that PhD today, and for whatever reason he cancelled it. It was something to do with the fire or something. I was on my way down there and it got cancelled whilst I was mid route. But point is, it got cancelled, and basically it's like, why would a PhD bloke, a physicist at a university, be interested in talking to a flat earther if there wasn't some element of credibility to it? He came to us. We didn't go to him. So it's like, what's going on here? But it got cancelled in the end anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But point is that it's definitely moving away from the ridicule. But YouTube is still strong, but in the real world, I just don't see ridicule being a strong linchpin anymore.
So, Deanna, what do you think's your best video so far? What would you credit most of your flat Earth beliefs or flat Earth beliefs on your own YouTube channel to be the best video that people can go and watch right now?
I think the Antarctica one is a good one. And damn, I can't even think right now because I've done so many in like the past couple weeks.
Well, do you want to tell my audience about your Antarctica video? Because that's the one I watched.
Basically, I was just talking about Colin O'Brady and how he is allegedly the first person to cross Antarctica unaided. And I was just talking about how there's no way he could have gone anywhere in Antarctica unaided because of the Antarctic Treaty of 1959 and how we can't do that because of that. And I was also just speaking about like his travel route wasn't even that far and it just didn't make sense, basically. I did some research about his travel path, and I was just looking at the plane that he was in. He was standing in front of a plane that had no windows. And everybody who's researched Antarctica knows that when you travel there, the planes that you travel in, you can't look out the window. Well, that's what I've always researched, and that's what I've always been told. So he's in front of this plane where he's not looking out the window. So who knows where he would have landed at, you know? And there's a lot of information that's just missing from the whole journey. And I'm like, if you're doing something for the first time in the age of social media where everybody's recording everything, why didn't you record your whole journey? And how were you talking to people and interacting with people in such a secluded area? Like, it's just so many things that just like didn't make sense to me. So I was just talking about it in that video.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, I was quite blown away by the video. It was very good. I had something to say and I've forgotten what I was going to say. Literally just skipped my mind. That was it. So I know that you obviously started researching flat Earth at some point. What made you make the jump from researching it to actually making a channel and doing a video about it?
When I saw the video footage of people in the air, like, you know, with the, or like, you know how people had like the balloons that, you know, they put up in the air with the dog cam footage to see the curvature of the earth, and you can't see anything, it looks flat. And then just reading the book of Enoch and then comparing it to what I saw with, you know, people using their Nikon cameras and zooming in on the sun and the moon and the stars. And when I saw that, like when I just saw it for myself, like the people who were using the cameras and stuff, it kind of made me cry a little bit because I just felt so, I felt so bamboozled, I guess. So once I saw that, I was just like, oh yeah, like this shit is real. So I was just like, yeah, I got to talk about this because it was just so, wow. Like it just shocked me because never in my life would I ever thought to research something like that. But then when I saw people in the mainstream, like, you know, Kyrie Irving and B.O.B. and even like Jim Carrey would say weird stuff. So like once I saw them, I'm like, there's a reason why these big people are being ridiculed. Like I know they wouldn't just be talking out the side of their ass. Like there must be some type of truth to it. So once I saw it in the videos for myself, I was just like, oh yeah, like I got to talk about this. Why not?
That's really cool. So a little bit about us. I've been researching flat Earth now for a couple of years. I have about 200 videos on my channel. Nathan has about at least 600 videos on his channel, and we have Sleeping Warrior there, who's perhaps going to be probably the biggest talking point of this year, I would think, if he can actually get his masters. Anthony, do you want to elaborate a little bit about that?
No, the biggest talking point is going to be what happens with the question of litigation. And I know you won't be familiar, but what is your name, by the way?
Deanna.
What can I call you?
Deanna.
Oh, that is your first name, is it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Under English law, we've got the Education Act from 1996, and it specifically and expressly prohibits the promotion of one-sided stories. They call it partisan politics, but basically that means stories, and they're not allowed to promote one-sided stories. And obviously, we all get taught the same thing in school. The sun's 93 million miles away. Praise Helios. And there is no consideration of the alternative, and that really is the key point. I set up a GoFundMe, maybe, I don't know, I think it was the last week in August, to get onto a particular course, because I wanted to do something that was pro flat Earth and basically get it into the journals and into common reading within professionals, just to put in a cat amongst the pigeons, really. Knowing that it's a bit of a gamble, knowing that it may not actually pass, but nonetheless trying it anyway, because I think that there is a valid argument. Well, there's a massive argument for what we're told, and that was my intention, but it overlapped with another GoFundMe that was happening at the time from the Global Eye Tour, which, if you're not familiar with that, check out the Global Eye Tour. Definitely cool. And the effect of that was that the Global Eye Tour finished in a school in London, and me and Ranty went down for the finale of the Global Eye Tour, and it was cool. It was really cool, and the irony of it being in a school was just even better. And then since then, it's like things have just spiraled into chaos, and I'm now at the point where I'm just trying to find the right law firm. I found a couple of firms that show an initial interest, but I've not been satisfied by them, because the people that I speak to are like younger than me, and they sound younger than me, and I'm not persuaded by the level of professionalism. I'm quite picky with what I'm looking for, and I know what I want. I want the kind of David Attenborough voice. I want that wise, like, you know what I mean? The what's the word I'm looking for? The elderly voice that's got that comforting tone to it. That's what I'm looking for. I don't want somebody that's fresh out of law school. And I'm just trying to find somebody that is on my wavelength on this, that sounds good. And that's where really I'm at. And I think that really, if I get the right person, and I only spoke to a guy today that sounds perfect, but I'm going to be speaking to him either tomorrow or the day after. If I can get somebody on board that ticks the boxes that I want ticking, that's going to be the talking point for the year. Forget about the dissertation. That was a prerequisite. But the idea of an actual, and this is a barrister as well. I've gone direct to a barrister now, because I'm not winning with the solicitors. I want to find somebody that's specific, and I'm not really getting there. But that's going to be the interesting point, if we can get a barrister sorted and to get the ball rolling. So where am I at with it? Just cracking on every day, making phone calls, just trying to get what I want, and then seeing where we end up. But for me, it's the most what's the word? It's the most disruptive issue in flat Earth at the minute. Once it starts, getting it started is the hard bit. Once it does start, the disruption that it'll cause is just going to be off the scale. And I'm looking forward to it, because it's something that's instigated by, well, basically by YouTube. It started by YouTube for me, and I was researching the pyramids, and then 2 years ago I realized that, hey, something's wrong here, and 2 years on, we're now trying to get litigation started with the right law firm to make this work. And I don't know that I'm doing the right thing by looking for what I think is the right law firm, but having a law firm has got to be a start, and I can't wait to see it start, because I just want to see it. Once I see it start, then the rest will take care of itself. But getting it started means that science will actually come under the scrutiny of law, because science, at the end of the day, science is subject to law. Science is not a law unto itself, and you know, and I know, that gravity is not exactly a strong arguing point. And we all know that you can't have a gas pressure in the vacuum of space without a membrane of some kind. we all know that you need a container to house the gas pressure in the first place. We know that they can't prove axial rotation because gyroscopes don't do it, etc., etc., etc. And these are the things that science has to prove to justify why the kids are being taught this nonsense. And really, it's like under the eyes of the law, I don't think their case, even without any challenge to it at all, without any opposition whatsoever, I don't think their case would be able to be made in court, because they wouldn't be able to satisfy any judge that on a balance of probabilities, their argument is true when it's presented in a way that's, well, none of it's true. Justify yourselves. But when there's valid opposition, legitimate opposition against the official story, the official version of what we're told, that's when it really becomes interesting, because they've got to explain it, prove it to the satisfaction of the judge in a court of law, and where they're not self-regulated by consensus of their peers, which is obviously what the position is at the minute. They are self-regulated. They believe and act like they're a law unto themselves. Well, my view is that they're not a law unto themselves. They are subject to the law, and science should be held accountable. This stuff we're being taught as kids, it's just not true. But we're not told that it's not true. We're taught that it is true, and that there's no other alternative, and it's not even contentious. We don't get told that it is, and that's where I'm at. And I can't wait for it to start. Once we get the ball rolling, I can't wait for the shit box of nonsense that it'll cause between the ballers, because they're not going to like it. I can't wait.
So in case you didn't know, this is Anthony, Sleeping Warrior. He can talk for England, and he often does. Deanna, what did you think about that? Did you think that he made any sense with what he was talking about?
Yeah. It's funny because, like, he's right. Like, you can't, they put this shit out in the freaking like science books and stuff like that, and in our media, but they can't prove any of it. Like, everybody, when I talk about proving that the Earth is spinning, they always refer to the gyroscope, but that's not proving anything. It doesn't prove anything.
Who refers to the gyroscope to prove the Earth spinning?
People in my comments and stuff like that. Like, when I ask, because in one of my videos, there's a show called the Non Sequitur Show.
Yeah, Steve.
They used one. Yeah, they used one of my videos as well. So I got a lot of subscribers from them. Because I had a video called Questions for Globe Earthers. And one of my questions was like, basically, can you prove to me how does the Earth spin? And in one of my other videos, I was saying, like, for Globe Earthers to just like do every experiment that flat earthers have done, and then tell me what you see, and then argue with me and call me a dumbass after that. And then somebody referred to the gyroscope, and I was just like, then they started sending me videos about the gyroscope, and in none of the videos did they ever prove that the Earth was spinning, though.
Were they arguing that the gyroscope did or did not prove that the Earth was spinning?
They said that the gyroscope proved that the Earth was spinning.
That's nonsense. I don't know who said that, but you need to go back to that person and tell them what the gyroscopes do and don't do.
It's a Foucault proof. It's just not one that's used often, because it's complete nonsense if you actually put it into practice with a modern gyroscope. But you're just forgetting that is their rhetoric. That's their line. Their line is that gyros prove we're spinning. You just forget that we know that they don't. We know that they don't process, but they claim they do. That's part of their proof. It's like part of the Foucault toolbox, right?
I've never heard anybody on their side arguing gyroscopes prove Earth spin.
Well, then you should just go through some of my comments. Because some of the stuff that they say is just like, where do you get your information? It's like they copy and paste from somebody else. And then they always say that flat earthers rely on too many YouTube videos. But the first thing they do to show us proof of anything is refer to a YouTube video.
Yeah. Well, the current position is that mechanical gyros don't show any rotation, but fiber optic gyros that measure light do. Well, we know that the lights above our head are moving, and we know that we're not moving. And the fiber optic gyros show that. They show that the light is moving. But the ballers interpret the light that is being detected by the fiber optic gyro. They detect that as Earth spin. Well, if it was Earth spin, the mechanical gyros would do the same, but they don't. So you have a contradiction in evidence. So which one's right? The one that measures light or the one that measures inertia or movement? And obviously,
well, you started by saying about the science of it, Anthony, and what science does and what science teaches our children, etc., etc. Well, if that's the standard, then you ask for scientific evidence, which the gyroscopes absolutely are not. They're contentious, they're conflicting. And while our side can show a video of a gyroscope not processing and claim it proves something, their side can do exactly the same and claim the opposite. So it means nothing. It's not scientific evidence. And this isn't our standard. It's their standard, right? They say that science says we're on a globe. So, okay, no worries. Is this gyroscope scientific evidence? Oh, it's not. Well, so science isn't proving anything with this then.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's basically digging through the minefield of rhetoric that the Globers have. And once you understand that all of their scientific proofs in, exclamation mark, is utter bullshit and doesn't exist, they don't have scientific proof for any of their claims. Once you understand that, then you can easily argue any case against a Glober, because they can't produce scientific proof to you to provide for their evidence. They don't have it.
Yeah.
And that's what Nathan's debates is all about. Nathan, do you want to tell her about your debates? Do you want to maybe give some insights as to what's happening? If you don't want to, that's fine. Or maybe even talk about future plans.
It's in limbo at the moment, so I don't really know what to say. Until I've got this issue with loads of copyright strikes on all of my channels sorted out, there's not a great deal I can do. So I don't know how long that'll take. I don't know what to tell you.
Okay. And do you want to say about your debates? What happens in your debates? How you destroy the Globers?
Well, you've summed it up already. There is no scientific evidence that we live on a globe. And that is the standard that they lay down. Science says we live on a globe. Science can't be wrong, right, Neil deGrasse Tyson? Well, no, there is no scientific evidence for a globe. And if any of the things that they presented ever had scientific backing, of course not. And as soon as they claim that they do, oh, well, we've got an experiment. Oh, really? What's this experiment? Oh, well, this particular experiment with lead balls in a shed proves that we have gravity. And then you pick apart their explanation based on its non-adherence to science, because they don't have science. There is no science to prove that we're on a spinning ball flying through space. It's just a religious belief.
Basically.
It is. So how long have you been researching Flat Earth then, Deanna? Because I noticed I'm looking at your channel right now, and I can see that the first upload that you did was, some 6 months ago, something like this?
Yeah. I started researching around May. So not that long ago. And it wasn't like something I was doing every day. I kind of like binge watched a bunch of videos, and then I stopped for a while. And then maybe about, I don't know, like, uh-oh.
What?
Oh, my phone froze for like a good 3 seconds. Sorry. I thought I lost you guys. But it wasn't something that I was like trying to do every day or anything, because I was more into like veganism and stuff. Like a lot of my old videos, you see me talking about veganism, and I did like a detox, and I was like, talking about being a raw vegan and stuff like that. So it was like there was literally like no intention for me to even like discuss or even like research flat earth. It just happened like one day. I couldn't tell you exactly when. It was just one day, like I just got into it and I just went all the way down the rabbit hole.
So but I noticed I'm looking at your screen now, and what I'm seeing is this the dome, the firmament.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? How you've come to that conclusion?
Just from like, well, actually, I don't believe that's exactly what it looks like. I'm more so, is it Jeranism, who kind of described it as like kind of like a bunt cake a little bit. Like, you know what I'm saying?
We do. We know Jeranism.
He's describing the pressure that you get at the varying places and how that will affect your vision based on your own personal dome. So when he says dome, he's talking about the dome of your vision and how much you can see around you. But in terms of how the atmosphere would affect that, as you go out to the extremities based on the azimuth equidistant projection, you've got the pressure getting far lower as you go out to the outer extremities. So therefore,
Right.
that would affect how the dome of your personal experience would present itself when you're looking up. So it's like me. He has, and you have, and none of us have any idea what's up there. None of us. And
Right.
you know, to make assertions about what is up there is just incorrect. We can take apart the assertion that what is up there is a vacuum of space based on the necessary antecedent for gas pressure that we all know and love and breathe, being a container, something to press upon. Now, when someone tries to push me in a corner and say, so you're saying there's a dome? No, I'm saying that the vacuum of space is a second law of thermodynamics violation, and you claim that there's a vacuum of space. I don't know what's up there. I have no clue. I've never been.
Right. Just from like the videos that I've seen and just from like, reading a little bit, I kind of believe that we're in an enclosed system. I feel like that depiction that I have on like my icon or whatever is probably like, I don't know. I honestly don't know. I don't know. Like you said, nobody knows exactly what it looks like because nobody's ever been outside the atmosphere to even see what the hell it looks like. But just from what I've seen, as far as like when people zoom in to the planets and like some of them, they're flickering and they look like, there's water ripples. So it kind of looks like they're underwater. So just from what I've seen and what it says in Genesis or whatever, there's waters above us and waters below us. I believe that's probably like the best depiction from what I've researched. But I don't really know. I mean, I really don't know. I don't know if the sun is down here with us or if it's outside. Like, I don't know.
I think it's going to be a while before we can explain any of those, to be fair.
Yeah.
And what you will find a lot is that the globers want you to look at these lights in the sky, and these lights, as you're looking up, will tell you where your feet are. And I found that the most ridiculous argument.
Wait, you got to explain that a little more because I didn't understand that.
Okay, so they will talk about they'll talk about Polaris, and they'll talk about the rotations of the lights in the sky, and they will say that these rotations of the lights in the sky and the shape of these lights in the sky will tell you what shape the Earth is that you're stood on.
Can I have a go, Ranty?
Yeah, of course you can.
So, okay, whereabouts in the world are you?
Who, me?
Yeah.
I'm in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Okay, so I'm going to use this word intentionally. So you're in the northern hemisphere?
Yeah.
Right. Well, when you're in your position now, where are the stars in relation to where you are now? As you look at them, where are they?
Well, I can't see the stars. It's morning time here.
Sure, but just hypothetically, if you were to look at the stars now, what would you be doing? What action would your head take? You'd look up, right?
Yeah.
Now let's imagine that you take a journey, and I'll use the word intentionally again, to the southern hemisphere. Yeah. Then you look at the stars again. Which way are you looking to look at those stars?
Up.
You're looking up. But by using the word hemisphere, I have introduced the concept that when you traveled from one place to the other, you are suddenly antipodal to yourself at your starting position. So the stars that you looked at in the southern hemisphere were actually underneath your feet in the northern hemisphere. Well, that's a presuppositional argument that begs the question of sphericity in the explanation of the star rotations. So they make you automatically assume that when you travel from one geographical location to another, you've actually traversed the outside of a sphere. Well, you haven't. That's just a presupposition they insert. Most people don't pick up on. It's actually got a full title. It's called An Affirming the Consequent Formal Logical Fallacy.
Interesting.
This is probably quite a lot for you to take in right now, because
Yeah.
we've been debating these arguments for the past over a year now, and we've got quite used to all these terms. Most of the people in the chat have probably heard these terms 100 times before. So if it's the first time you're hearing it, I don't blame you if it just goes whoosh, straight over your head, because it did me originally.
Yeah, I feel like I have to take notes talking to you guys.
If you take nothing else away from this conversation, take something that Validation Boy gave to me ages and ages ago. You may not have heard of Validation Boy. He's a bit of a flat earth hater, but nonetheless, I'm sure your paths will cross at some stage. Anyway, Validation Boy put it quite succinctly, if I could say it. Every argument for the globe starts with the presupposition that you are on a globe. Or to put it another way, when someone starts explaining how the globe works, they automatically place you on the globe to make their example. So in order to prove a globe, you first must assume that you are on a globe to begin with. That's how it works. It's called begging the question, another logical fallacy, assuming your outcome.
Right.
It's like if you believe in or have heard of the word refraction before. When they're talking about refraction, they're talking about terrestrial refraction. Well, terrestrial refraction only happens on a globe. So in order for them to prove refraction actually happens in the way they say it does, first they have to prove R, which is the radius of the Earth. So you ask them, whenever they come to you and they say, oh, refraction accounts for this amount of hidden curvature, hit or obstruction, then you go, okay, well, in that case, then prove R. If you're going to come at me with refraction, you need to first prove R. Prove that we live on a globe first before you then move on to the next stage, which is saying that there is terrestrial refraction at 76R, which actually looms things up beyond the curvature of the Earth into your visible eye line. So quite often when you see like J Tolan Media and stuff that have been doing this fantastic photography in infrared, who can see massive distances that doesn't match the globe, doesn't match the globe at all, they will say that that's refraction, and refraction has lifted it up and loomed this image beyond the curvature of the Earth, and that's how you're able to see it. It's not that it's just flat and we see it because it's there. Oh, no. This has been loomed up by refraction. And then you say, well, okay, then if you're going to go down that route, which is nonsense anyway, nobody has been able to prove looming ever, and that's what my channel is about. But going forth from that, you need to say, well, before you go into this 76R rubbish, prove the R point. Prove that we have a radius. Because it's all, they presuppose that we live on a globe. And that's where all their arguments start from. So it's definitely a big learning curve coming to us three right now, because we've been debating what you're learning now has literally been 600 shows worth of debates condensed into one little conversation, what we're having now, because this is the point that we're at now. And I would absolutely recommend listening back to it again and again and again until you understand, how we've got to these points. And you can tackle these globers going forth, And one thing I would say is don't have the trolls on your channel. Block them. You don't need them. They'll just keep coming.
I started filtering my comments because it was just getting ridiculous. Like sometimes I respond to people, but I know there's certain people out there who just, comment on videos just to tell people that they're idiots and go off. Like it's just dumb. And I noticed that when I was leaving the trolls on my videos, those are like the first comments that you see.
That's
and it's like I feel like another like flat earther was telling me like a lot of times, and I do this myself, if I see negative comments on a video, I'll most likely click off of the video and I won't even like take into consideration what that person has to say.
Well, that's the wrong thing to do, I think, because if you go to my channel, for instance, I will put a video out. And the first 20 or 30 comments or so will be pretty positive. And a lot of them will be from my subscribers. And I get quite a lot of views in the first couple of days. And then over the period of the next week or two, I'll literally get troll after troll coming in and leaving comment after comment after comment, and it's a constant battle to delete, because they don't just comment on one video, they comment on a bunch of videos. So when you actually come to the video and you look at it, the first thing you might see is the first 10 comments might be from trolls. It doesn't mean that the content's bad. It just means that if you're over the mark, literally over the mark, these are the channels that they will target. If you're actually touching a nerve and you're actually triggering them to the point that they're going to be this vicious, you know that you're onto something. You know you're hitting a nerve there. And it's quite often that a lot of people will say that if you are onto something, this is when you get the hate. So I would, so whenever you see a channel that's under attack like that, all new flat earthers and stuff like that. I mean, for instance, right, Bob, there's a guy called Bob the Science Guy. He's a new anti-flat earth channel that's out there. He's a complete dork, right? And I'll be honest, right, he doesn't know essentially how his model even works. I'll be honest. One of my subscribers asked me to go and look at this video. I went and looked at the video, and I saw a guy doing an observation of an oil platform some 9.5 miles away. And he got down to about a foot in elevation above sea level. So his camera was right next to the water. His camera tripod was set to about a foot. He was looking out at this platform, and it was a beautiful scene. It was a nice, calm day. And he saw, for the most part, almost all of this platform, if not all of it. And then he literally put it on his channel. Hey, guys, literally, I have a flat earth proof here. Look at this. I can see this. We don't have curvy water. The water isn't curving. Yeah. Now, if you think in the globe model, all water must curve because of gravity. Gravity say, the water can't resist the urge to curve. So if you find flat water, you disprove the globe. So anywhere that you see an observation where somebody goes down to about a foot or so above the water, and they are actually seeing far, far, far further, then it's a big problem for the globe. And then they would go back to this standard refraction, which is utter nonsense. Again, looming doesn't happen. But this Bob the Science Guy, he decided to tackle this guy's claim. And what he did was he took an image of the platform as the person saw it. He then found a comparable image of the same platform and was able to determine that, in his opinion, there was a small amount of blockage, not a lot. But then he matched it up. And he matched it up by going to the curve calculator. And rather than putting in his 1 foot observation, because he was at 1 foot, he didn't put him at 1 foot. He didn't put him at 2 foot. He put him at 6 feet above actual sea level, because that was where the globe told him that he would be able to see the platform in the way that the gentleman who filmed it did it from a foot, right? So I picked up immediately on this and I said, well, that is so dishonest. Because if you put him at a foot in observation, in your model, there should be 40 odd feet of curve, 44 feet of curve, right? By you placing him at 6 feet in observation, that's putting just 20 feet of curve in the way. So it's more. And he said, well, how is it that from an observational height of 6 feet, I got it to match up? And I'm like, is this guy actually listening to what I've just said? The real world observation, this gentleman filmed it from a foot and was able to see almost all of the platform at a distance of 9.4 miles. There's no curvature there, right? So he had to increase his elevation height to make it match his model. And then he put a video out saying that he debunked this guy's video, which is nonsense, because that isn't the case. That isn't what happened. He took this observation and he butchered it, put it out to all his subscribers, who then went to this guy's channel and said that Bob the Science Guy has debunked you, and spammed him, literally spammed him all over, saying that he's been debunked, right? So if you're a new flat earther starting out and you have a channel and you have a P900, you're willing to go down to the beach, you're seeing this sort of observation, Bob the Science Guy then goes along, misrepresents the work that this guy's done, sends all his trolls over, essentially trying to silence this guy from ever wanting to do any work again in the future. That's the level that we're dealing with. So when you see somebody's work and you see all these horrible comments to start with, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's a bad video. It just means that they're over the target. And maybe you should, look into that a little bit with, okay, well, what's this guy actually saying? Can I verify that for myself? is this guy correct or is this guy wrong? And in my opinion, Bob, the science guy, is just like the rest of them. Conspiracy cats, all these people that deliberately lie about things. So they have the information at hand, but they will lie to make their audience believe that they are correct and that the flat Earth is wrong.
And nobody searched that information to see if he's even telling the truth.
Yes, and the thing is, without people coming to my channel and telling me to look at these other channels, or going to other channels that they support and saying, look at this very small new channel that's come out, it's done a great observation here or something, we don't get to pick these people up. They go under the radar, but the trolls find them. It's funny how the trolls find them. The YouTube algorithm, they make sure that any new flat earther that comes out there, then
I was going to say that, not to cut you off, but I was going to ask you guys, do you think that, there's like a whole thing where YouTube puts these videos out to like trolls and stuff like that?
I do, yeah.
And I think people who actually want the information, because on one of my videos just recently, I noticed I got 9 likes and 35 dislikes.
welcome to the flat Earth.
And I was just like, wow. And it was 7 proofs the Earth was flat. That's the video.
That's not part of the algorithm.
Yeah, no. I was like, and I'm like, for the information that I showed, I was talking about, basically what you were talking about with us seeing the curvature and flat water and all that. I was talking about how water is level. I was talking about the Suez Canal and the Nile River and how they don't accommodate for the curvature of the Earth, which is with as long as they are. And people still didn't even they were still arguing me down. And I'm like, the proof is right here. I just researched this information. Look at it for yourself. And I still got all these negative comments. And I'm just like, wow.
There's more people who would prefer the Earth not be flat than no, it is. Therefore, you're going to get trolled. But that's nothing to do with YouTube specifically going out of their way to put it in front of trolls. It just gets put in front of people. And people become trolls when the subject's put in front of them because they've been pre-programmed. I
don't know. There definitely seems to be a new wave. Yeah. Definitely seems to be a new wave of troll that's out there now that all seem to be linked to failed console channels. Fight the Flat Earth. Have you come across it?
If you remember, Anthony, when Simon Dan started kicking off, and I made over a series of weeks claims that it was the gaming industry side of the YouTube was the ones that the algorithm was targeting for this Simon Dan. And then when you actually follow it through now, it's been borne out. It literally has been borne out. It's all the gamer dudes because they don't like to lose. They like to win everything that they do. That's why the gamers, that's why they like to fight and win the competitive. So, of course, they're going to have this belief because they play these star fantasy games and, you can become all kinds of weird and fantastical things. So, of course, they believe in that. They're brainwashed.
Ranty, I was just going to say, didn't you say that's almost a bit of a torturous move? If you were to assume that it's YouTube doing this, so I'll play into your argument. Wouldn't you say that that's quite cruel? Because they're not going to win. They don't have any arguments for their religious belief. They don't yet realize that it's a religious belief. But believe me, when they tread this tightrope, they'll eventually find out how thin it is. And they will fall off eventually.
Yeah,
you can see some of these people when they get into the conversations with us, and they do actually have a degree of intellectual prowess about them. They know where their arguments fall apart, and they know where they have to use fallacy because they've lost. So these people deep down know, well, that's cruel torture. There's a reason some of these people come back all the time. It's because they're tortured souls. I think that's quite funny. If that's what's happening, then more power to you, YouTube. Sucker all these gamers in, because they'll all come in thinking, fight the flat Earth, right? Yeah, until they realize they haven't got any arguments, and we screw them every time. We hold people like Tim Osmond down by his ankles and force our values into them. It's not pleasant.
If you think about the people that have gone from their side, I mean, when I first came into it, like Negator XX, he was like relevant. Now you never see him, and if you do see him, he's definitely not. He's the odd comment here and there, but there was a time when he was like quite important, quite relevant in A4.
I had an argument with him today. I had an argument in whose chat was You were there. Whose chat was it?
Um,
I think he might have been Vegan Goy. So I was in Flat Earth Vegan Goy's chat, and there's Negator XX, and he just keeps ignoring me. I try and bait him over and over again. He's just not having a bar of it. Lewis Hackett did it as well, just completely ignore me. And I'm like telling the audience of Vegan Goy's chat, these people have to ignore me because if they engage me, they know they're screwed. So as soon as Negator XX engaged me, 6 times he used the same logical fallacy to try and defeat me. He used burden of proof reversal 6 times. So I'm like, the mathematics for the globe doesn't include perspective negator. What are you going to do about it? It's like, well, what math should I be including? No. This isn't my problem. This is your problem. 6 times he did it. And then he did it to Jose when Jose did the same thing with R. It's just priceless. It's like these people have got no decent arguments. All they've got is logical fallacy. In the case of Negator XX, he's got one.
I mean, look at Paper Explanator. I've not seen him for months. I mean, when was the last time you seen Paper? All these like what I would call the guys that were in it when I got into it, don't see them anymore. I just see these new guys that are all what I'd describe as millennials, that are all 10 years younger than me at least, maybe nearly 15 years younger than me. And they're all the happy clappers that all cheer when SpaceX send a rocket up that changes to CGI halfway through, and they don't see that, or if they do see it, they ignore it, and they're all punching the air with like closed fists, going yeah. And I'm looking at them thinking, you guys look like dickheads. Shut up! I'm being attacked.
Hopefully, the debates will come back on the air, and we'll get a position where we can demand they come on and debate us, because ultimately speaking, we had, up until recently, the platform to screw these people continually. And it's made me think, having a few days off, well, when they bitch and moan about mute buttons, about whatever they moan about, in essence, what they're actually saying is, we can't argue with you. That's what they're saying. And all these newbies, brilliant. It's just like fresh meat. Send them in. Who's this guy who flight the flat Earth? Craig? Up and running, or I may not be. When I am, you're more than welcome to come along. I'll even lay down the standard of evidence, as you asked, who is it? Dell. Oh, well, just tell me what standard of evidence you'll accept. Scientific evidence. There you go. There's your answer, Craig. Hopefully see you soon on the Flat Earth debate. And the same point.
Craig wouldn't last 30 seconds in our debates.
Precisely. He's meat for grinding. You know, just a doughy meatball ready to be ground up by us.
So sorry if you're hearing this for the first time. It does sound a little bit, you know, a bit weird. But it's the way we kind of butcher these arguments of the globe. Deanna, if you're still there.
Sorry, I had you guys on mute for a second.
Oh, right. Yeah, no worries.
I heard you. Well, you guys weren't on mute, but I was on mute.
Okay. Well, basically, on Nathan's platform now, he has he's been locked out of his account for a few days now, just so we can get things back up and running. It shouldn't be too long, hopefully by the end of the month. But essentially, he has a flat Earth debate platform where the globe versus the flat Earth actually have these arguments, and Nathan is pretty much a globe killer / kind of bring your best arguments in here and they won't last 10 minutes. So I would highly recommend going over there and watching some of the past debates. If you haven't already, if you want to learn some interesting information about how to handle these globe trolls.
Okay. I'll definitely look.
An exercise in picking apart logical fallacies, basically. Most of their arguments are based on logical fallacies. And Steve HV, big massive shout out to Steve, because he's been doing videos non-stop about logical fallacies, and he's now moved on to psychopathy, another subject that I really, really love. So yeah, big shout out to Steve HV. But yeah, anyway, the whole point is that any debate is the same. You know, it's just picking apart logical fallacies for the most part, and obviously knowing the arguments and picking those apart. But we're in a privileged position when we're up against people like Fight the Flat Earth or Godless Engineer or Tim Osman or any of these trolls, because we have the winning argument. Their argument is basically logical fallacy.
Sorry, I'm actually waiting for the Godless Engineer to debunk one of my videos because he just subscribed to me.
Oh, right. Has he? What, literally just now?
No, probably about a week ago. Like when that video was going around Team Skeptic, that's when he subscribed to me.
So what's your best proof of the flat Earth at this moment in time?
Use your own common sense. I don't know. I mean, like, there's so many, and like, you know, there's so many, from just using your own eyes, looking out with the camera. Like, so many people have done so much research on this. I just don't understand why people don't look further into it. Are you that robotic to the point where you just go along with whatever the government says or whatever these, you know, trolls say? You really don't look into anything?
I think they are genuinely that indoctrinated. I mean, you forget, I mean, you're 26, so you're kind of booking the trend in a way for my thought process on this, which is that if you look at Anthony, myself, and Nathan, you know, we were knocking around as teenagers in the 1990s, you know, and it was so much different back then. We didn't have computer games as they do now. You know, the computer games back then were a lot more primitive, so to speak. So we spent a lot more time outside. We spent a lot more time doing stuff, looking up, playing with, you know, being out in the atmosphere and not having this indoctrination with the internet. Whereas the kids of nowadays, you know, these 20-year-olds and stuff, they're the ones that are constantly at the monitor. They're constantly being told what's what at school. If they try and skip school, the parents get taken to court. So they have to go back to school. So they have to pass their exams. They have to get a science exam, science GCSE to actually get any kind of decent job. And it's all programmed so that you will literally walk out in your late teens, early 20s as a programmed globe earther. And that's how they've done it. They literally breed you this way from birth, indoctrinate you for 18 years, and then you're just a robot. Like you say, you literally are a robot. You're not prepared to, well, you haven't had what we had, which was going out and exploring the environment as we know it. Because for the most part, kids nowadays, they go to school, they come home, they're on their Xbox, playing games, fighting each other, and then they have to go and research science to pass an exam. You know, so it's complete control by the state.
Right.
Complete control.
Definitely. And what's crazy is see, what I enjoy about my parents is, like, my mom growing up, she was more, for lack of a better word, she was more indoctrinated. And my father has always been the type to tell me to question everything. And like, even growing up, he was never into religion or anything like that. He's always told me question everything. My father, since I've been born, he has never held a 9-to-5 job. He's always made money on his own. And he's probably like the most financially stable person I know. He doesn't have a college degree. He dropped out of school, or I think he got his GED and went into the Marines or something like that. So he's one of those people who's always gone against the grain. And luckily, I've always had him in my corner, because I feel like a lot of people my age and younger, we have like, yeah, you're right about like the technology and stuff like that a little bit. But see, me, I was kind of, because of my parents and because of, I guess I was kind of on the cusp of everything, because when social media came into play, like really, really heavily, it was probably about what, 2004, maybe?
2000.
And by that time,
Yeah, I would say 2004 isn't so far off, yeah.
yeah, and by that time, I was already like a preteen, almost teenager. So I kind of got the best of both worlds. So I kind of know the whole thing about, going outside and actually being out in that atmosphere, riding your bike, and being without the internet. I know kind of both lives or whatever. And I'm still like, to this day, I'm not really that technologically savvy as much as a lot of people are my age, because I was always the type, I got to go out and I got to explore. I don't want to be on the internet all day. I went through a phase as a teenager where I'd be on the internet a lot. But as I got older, I started to realize that a lot of the stuff being fed to us was bullshit. And now even today with my kids, I don't even have a TV. Well, I have a TV, but I never cut it on. And the only reason why I have it is because my mom bought it. But like, I don't have cable. My kids, like, they have cell phones, but I monitor everything that they look at as far as, you know, what they watch. They're still small, so they don't really need technology and stuff anyway. And for the most part, they got to go outside. They're not allowed to just sit in the house and be in front of the TV or on their phone looking at YouTube videos all day, or, you know, playing video games. I don't buy, you know, PS4s or anything like that, just because I feel like all of it is just a scheme to indoctrinate our children.
So you talk about yourself being a vegan. I mean, I've not really looked into that, but I know that a lot of flat earthers come from that as well. So perhaps you could just talk just not much, but just give us a little insight into that.
I honestly went vegan for health reasons, because I just kept going back to the doctor and they kept telling me something was wrong with me that I felt like wasn't. I felt like, you know, they would disregard certain things. Like a lot of times, like when I eat certain stuff, like I get really, really sick. And they were saying, oh, you know, maybe it's your allergies and stuff like that. But it seemed like every time I would go to the doctor, they would just give me a Band-Aid and I would never have a cure. So I just started looking into, first I started looking into like herbalism. I wasn't really trying to go vegan. And then one day I was just like, fuck it, and I'll do it. And I started reading about how, you know, the government is basically trying to, you know, get rid of farmers, you know, with Monsanto and all that. And I just thought that, you know, basically everything that's wrong with the world, you know, the government is behind everything. And I went vegan not only for my health, but then when I started researching what they were doing with the crops and, you know, the factory farm, all that.
I noticed you mentioned Monsanto there, you know, and I have to agree, they are perhaps the most evil company, as far as I can think of, that's out there, you know, genuinely. And so when you talk about that, that makes me believe that you're essentially coming from the same conspiracy side, as in, obviously we went through this process, 9/11, then you got the Monsanto, you got other things. Do you believe in chemtrails, that kind of stuff?
Yes. Yeah. I have video. I'm going to start posting them because I've had like video footage just here in Vegas. I've never seen so many chemtrails in my life. And it seems like it's every Saturday, or it's like every Saturday morning, it seems like I see chemtrails in the sky. So I'm going to see this next Saturday. I'm going to see if I see chemtrails.
Well, I'll let you into a little story. I think I've said this maybe half a dozen times in my YouTube career. I've mentioned this before. And the first time I ever saw a chemtrail was when I was 17. I was working with my father. We was painting and decorating a house, and we was working outside. It was the middle of summer, and I, as a child, had spent my entire childhood, apart from when I slept, outside. You know, so I was always out. I was running. I was playing over the back fields all week. I was out at 6 o'clock in the morning on a weekend till around about 6 o'clock of the weekend, 12 hours over the backfields. You couldn't have had a more outdoory bringing than me. And I'd never seen a chemtrail ever. Now, when I was 17, this one day, from out of nowhere, we saw this plane go across the sky with this, well, we didn't actually see the plane originally. We just saw this white streak going across the sky, and it was getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And it looked like the sky was being unzipped. Genuinely looked like the sky was being unzipped, like it was being split down the middle. I'd never seen anything like it in my entire life. My father had never seen anything like it in our entire life. We down tools, we looked up, we didn't know whether the bloody sky was falling in or what the hell was going on. It just looked like the sky was being unzipped. Beautiful blue sky, and then this white streak slowly crosses the sky from one side to the other in a perfect straight white line, right? No word of a lie. We sat there, we watched it for about 20 minutes. It then started to slowly disperse and break away, and we were just like, what the hell did we just see? And then from that one experience, it turned out that we were seeing this perhaps every week. It then turned out to be in every couple of days, then it was 3 or 4 times a day. Now it's every damn plane that goes across the sky, you know. And that was my personal experience with chemtrails, and that's how I knew when I first started doing my channel, a different channel about chemtrails. That was my first experience with them. Now, most kids, say kids, I mean, if you're 16 to 20 or 25, you probably won't have experienced life. Well, you won't have experienced life without chemtrails. So it seems like it's a distant fable that I'm talking about. But if you're 45 or 50, you will inherently know that what I'm saying is true. We had blue skies, we had big fluffy clouds. We didn't have all these different types of clouds that they have now. They've literally introduced like 20 new types of cloud to explain the cloud system, when that wasn't the case when I was growing up. There was just clouds. There was fluffy clouds, and that was it. Right now, you get clouds, and most of them are made up of chemtrails, and it's literally that bad that they're having to tell lies about these things, literally changing things as we look at them. So 9/11, for instance, will go down as a fact. In 100 years' time, they'll look back in the history books, and 9/11 will be the official narrative. Yet 90% of people that are alive right now will inherently understand that that's bullshit. So when you look back at history and what they tell you and what the official narrative is, you can always go back and you can say, well, was that actually how it happened? Or was that just how the press reported it and the official narrative was? Yeah. The official narrative is that these chemtrails are just fumes from the back of a plane. That's it. You know, the water vapor that comes out after the fuel is finished with it. Yeah. But that isn't the case. Not true.
Mm-hmm.
Bullshit. You know, you've probably never seen, being 26 years old, you know, you might have, I don't know, but you've never actually seen real blue skies with nice fluffy white clouds in. I have. I was privileged. I saw that as a child. I saw it when I was in my early teens. It's all we ever saw. Beautiful blue skies. Don't get that anymore.
I remember the first time I saw a chemtrail, it was on my 7th birthday. That was the first time I ever recognized it and I didn't realize that it was a chemtrail at the time. I thought that they were just, you know how you see people on like cartoons or movies and they write stuff in the sky like, I love you or will you marry me? I thought it was something like that. It wasn't until like a couple years went by that I started realizing like, this is weird. They're just making little long streaks in the sky. But me being a young kid, I didn't realize what the hell it was. And now I see it like looking back like, wow, even back then, it's been a long time since they've been putting chemtrails out in the air to manipulate our weather and everything else.
Someone in chat, John Murphy's just put planes fly on compressed air. And to be fair, I mean, I've seen a lot of videos recently that prove that the wings where the fuel is supposed to be stored and how many gallons you would need to actually fly. These wings couldn't literally hold this amount of fuel. And when they actually look into the planes themselves and they check the wings, you know, it's all electronics in there. There's nowhere for this fuel to actually be stored. When you see them being refueled, they bring over the smallest tanker you could probably bring over that's supposed to fill a plane that can carry 250 people 600 miles down the road. You know, it is just impossible. You know, what they're telling us about the fuel hoax with the planes, I absolutely believe is true, 100%. And I would absolutely advise all my people watching right now to go and look at them. The great, what's it called? The plane fuel hoax, I think it's called. It's very interesting.
I'll have to look into that. So I did a video on the moon landing because, well, I've always thought that the moon landing was a hoax, honestly. But I did a video like maybe when I first started doing flat earth videos or whatever, basically saying like how we never went to the moon, or it's called why we'll never go back to the moon. And just recently I did a moon landing video because of what Steph Curry was saying about the moon landing being a hoax. And the reason why I brought that up was because in 1969, do you know that there were over 80 recorded plane crashes?
Really?
Yes. So the fact that there were, and that I believe that was just America. I don't know if that was all over the world, but there were over 80. So if we can't even put a plane in the sky, what makes you think that back then they could put astronauts on the moon?
Well, that's called logic, and it's something that the globe has, they suffer from a lack of that. If you tell them, if NASA comes and says to them, there's a planet out there that's shitting diamonds from its sky and it's falling down and it's raining diamonds from the cloud, right? And they believe this, right? They literally believe it. It's what's been announced in the past month or so, that there's a planet out there somewhere that's shitting diamonds, right? Literally shitting diamonds. And people believe this. Yet they don't even know what's 10 miles under our feet right now. They don't know what the core is made of. Yeah.
What is it? Diamond Rain. It's the second time you've mentioned it on this show.
Diamond Rain. They have found a planet that shits diamonds, Nathan.
Right.
Literally, they have found a planet that shits diamonds. So
yeah, but they can make it. What's the last thing? Methane pools on, where was it? Europa or somewhere like that. Methane rain. Remember that?
Yes, methane rain. Oh, I'm sure there's going to be a ruby planet at some point where it's shitting rubies. There'll be another one that shits emeralds. So we'll have it all. And these globers, they love it. They bring it all,
We're never going to verify any of it, so you can make up any old rubbish, can't you?
Yeah. But then you ask them, what's 10 miles beneath your feet? And they ain't got a clue.
Oh, no. Basically.
Anthony, did you want to mention about the borehole? Because I know that you did a video recently about the actual borehole and, disproving what science actually speculated to how it actually transpired in the real world.
Yeah, are you familiar with conspiracy cats?
Conspiracy what?
There's a YouTuber called Conspiracy Cats with a Z. We all call him Conspiracy Flaps because he's a big fanny. But basically, he was pushing the idea that what was he saying? Oh, seismology proves that the Earth must be a sphere. Well, that's only true if you believe the stuff that they tell you about seismology. Because his argument was that secondary waves, there's something called primary waves and secondary waves. And the primary wave is faster than the secondary wave, and the secondary wave can't penetrate liquid. So because it can't penetrate liquid, it means therefore that the core of the Earth, you have the solid core in the middle, then you have the inner core and the outer core. And by virtue of the fact that the P waves, or no, the S waves, the secondary waves, can't penetrate liquid, that therefore means it must be a sphere because of the pattern that's created, because they don't get half the reflection back. It's complicated, but it's simple when you see how wrong it is. Basically,
that sounds like bullshit.
It is bullshit because basically, if you look at the old, I don't know whether the word antique's the right word, but the old Greek and mythological era where they had Aztecs and Incas. I can't remember the names of civilizations, but they all depicted the flat plane with a dome on it with the stars in the firmament, etc. They all show that the waters of the deep, whatever that means. And basically these P waves and the S waves can't go through liquid. So you can interpret the liquid to be the molten iron core nonsense, mantle, inner core, outer core nonsense. But it can equally apply to a layer of water below our feet. And we know that in the Kola Super Deep Borehole, they did find water beyond a depth that they never imagined and didn't predict by seismology. And they also found that there were 3 predictions made by seismology that turned out to be completely and utterly wrong. And they were described as anomalies. Well, I just call that wrong. But nonetheless, Conspiracy Flaps tells everybody that seismology proves the shape of the Earth. And it absolutely does not. It's literally, if you tell yourself you're on a ball, then when you interpret these results, you will interpret the results based on your perception that you live on a ball. If you don't tell yourself you live on a ball, you'll just interpret them based on nothing, which is the way it should be done. But because you're told it's a ball, therefore blah, 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 then you will spew it out as it's a ball because blah, blah, blah. And that's all he's doing. But dumbasses believe him and accept it. And it's completely and utterly nonsense. It's an affirming the consequent formal logical fallacy coupled with a reification fallacy. And if you were to argue from a position of illogical premise, then your whole narrative is bullshit. And that's what Conspiracy Cats does. He argues from a position of faulty like logic. But the ballers just go, yeah, tell me more, Conspiracy Cats. Tell me more. The wonderful teacher you are. And I look at him and I just think, you're an absolute knob. But they all worship him. And I'm like, what the hell's going on here? Armin can't get 1,000 subs. Yeah, this dumbass is telling people shit that's completely and utterly fallacious. And people accept it. It's utter garbage.
I'll just make one small correction. So, fanny means bum in an American colloquialism.
Yeah, but you don't get flaps on your bum, do you?
Right, but there might be some American people in the audience that don't get the connection between.
Yeah.
Fanny.
Fanny's not a bum over in England. It's the front bum. But it's
my wife's in the background chuckling away.
What? Your wife's in the background chuckling.
Yeah, now she's choking because she's laughing too much.
My missus was laughing the other day when, when the vegan guy called Arwen show the pre-cum show. When she heard that for the second time, she'd forgotten about it, but she heard it the second time, and she literally took a mouthful of coffee, and it just went and blew all over the place because she found it so funny. Anyway,
yeah, I think calling it baldy flaps is probably a step too far, don't you think?
Yeah, flaps is good though.
Yeah, conspiracy flaps is just far enough. Baldy flaps is too far.
Yeah, baldy flaps is like borderline.
Shaven flaps.
Brazilian flaps.
Oh, yeah, we do tend to degenerate into this. If you've ever been on our shows. But, right, let's change in the subject again. Is there any channels over there that you tend to watch? I know you mentioned Jeranism before.
Yeah, I like D Marble. I mean, I've always been into Eric Dubé has always been my go-to, but his channels keep getting deleted. Who else? Who have I been watching lately? I have to go look at my recent list. Because so far, see, one thing about me is, like I said, I wasn't, I didn't set out for this to be a flat earth channel. So a lot of times, when I'm on YouTube, I might binge watch flat earth videos for a good 2 or 3 weeks. And then flat earth won't even cross my mind. And then I'll go into something completely, I just have a short attention span when it comes to stuff. So, I'll watch a bunch of videos and then I'll forget. Because I'm subscribed to so many different people that talk about so much different shit. I even have some conspiracy theory channels that I watch, and not because I believe in what they're talking about, but I think a lot of their videos are funny.
Okay. Do you watch Richie from Boston?
No.
Oh, wow. Okay. Have you ever seen his videos?
Let me see. Richie from Boston?
Yeah, I would definitely highly recommend you go over there and watch that guy's stuff. He's on the money for the most part.
Richie from Boston. Huh. And what's crazy? A lot of times, when you research flat earth, or if you search flat earth on YouTube, all the debunking videos come up. So it takes a while for you to get to the nitty gritty when you're looking up this stuff. So a lot of times I don't even see any of these people, in my feed or anything like that when I'm searching, because it just doesn't pop up. Yeah. I have to either, be on somebody a flat earthers page who talks about them, or, it'll be somebody who comments and then I'll go to their page or something like that. I can never just click and find people that I'm looking for, which sucks.
I can help you with that, because I can email you, and I can perhaps email you a top 10 list of flat earth channels that I actually think are worth going to, or conspiracy channels as well. Okay. Because it's taken a while to, if you're just starting off in this, there's a lot of fake flat earth.
I'll give you a couple of my favorite channels.
Here we go. Yeah.
Do it. Just do it. Let's hear Ranty's top 10.
Top 3.
Oh, come on. What, top 10 or top 3? Top 3. Okay.
Dun, 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 dun,
No,
dun,
no,
dun,
no pressure then.
Right, I'll
Hey,
start then, Ranty, seeing as though you've lost it.
All right, you do your top three first, and then I'll do my top three.
Iron Realm Media for one. Definitely Friday nights for in England. You got to watch Iron Realm Media. Massively undersubscribed, being actively suppressed by YouTube. Content's really, really good. You got to, if you've not heard of Iron Realm Media, Adam. No pun intended. Pun intended, I suppose. So Iron Realm Media would be one. Up and coming, Roxanne, the globalist denier, and you know about Jeranism. Let's think. I still like John the Morgile. I know he's got issues and whatnot, but I still enjoy a good bit of John the Morgile. Nathan?
No, I'll go after Ranty.
Okay. Well, it depends whether you're interested in just the personality or you're interested in the evidence. If you want the evidence, then you definitely need to go and check out Nathan Oakley 1980 for his debates platform and all the good information that you'll get from there. However, there are other channels that I do enjoy watching. Paul on the Plane is another channel, and Martin Liedtke. That's Liedtke. I would definitely recommend going over there. I assume you probably already know about the really big channels, you know, Globebusters, Jeranism, Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole, Celebrate Truth, Bro Sanchez, all them.
Yeah,
Great.
I have all of them.
Yeah, it's the smaller, well, it's the history. If you want the history side of things and the hidden history, and once you start watching Martin Liedtke's stuff, you will, you know, it will blow your mind. You could binge watch him for a month and it would blow your mind, literally blow your mind. That's Martin Martin Lied, Liedtke.
Right. So I'd say first and foremost, go and check out Flat Earth and Other Hot Potatoes. You and her have got a lot in common. Patricia Steer is the host of that show.
Oh yeah, we subscribe to each other.
You say again?
I said we're subscribed to each other.
Oh, cool. So you know a Flat Earth and Other Hot. Who doesn't know about Patricia Steer? The other one is Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole, or DITRH.
Yep, got him.
And then the last one's Arwin, or Arwijin, I think he likes to be called.
ARWIJN. He's actually in the chat right now.
Yeah, he likes to be called Arwijin. Arwijin.
He bullies me, though. He bullies me.
Okay. One of them I didn't get. Martin.
Liedtke.
Okay, got it.
And he's fantastic. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure Patricia Steer might even be in touch with you at some point recently, because she has a debates platform where she'll bring a new guest in, a new Flat Earth channel like yourself to talk about the channel, and she has quite the platform. She has about 15,000 subscribers, if I'm right, Nathan.
So what I'm going to do, I'm going to plug the Global Eye Tour. Roxanne, the Globalist Denier, is live right now, and she's just revealing to the public the details of the Global Eye Tour. If you're not familiar with it, you need to check it out. Last year, it was a Global Eye Tour that just circumnavigated England, Northern Ireland, and Scotland and Wales. This year, it's going throughout Europe. I think there's about something like 13 or 14, maybe more countries. I think there's about 65 stops throughout Central Europe, England, and Ireland. And to be honest with you, he's coinciding it with the Flat Earth Convention in the UK, or the Global Eye Convention in the UK, and the Amsterdam one over in obviously Amsterdam. And the effect of it is going to be that he's going to coincide these with the tour, so that he's going to turn up at these conventions midway through the tour. So we'll have like information hot off the press. That's Jason of the Didsbury family. So if you guys are not aware, check out Roxanne's channel. The hangout that she's just done now, she's still live, I believe. Let me just have a quick check. But if you haven't watched it, you need to check it out, because yeah, she is still live. Because the Global Eye Tour is going to be so big this year that it's just going to be like, oh my god, it's going to make national news, but not just national. It's going to make European news because of how many countries that are involved, and it's it's massive news. It's not massive yet because it's not started, but they're just beginning to get a little bit of momentum going. So I'm going to be giving loads of plugs to that and when Nathan gets back online, because people need to be aware of it, just because it's massive. It's absolutely huge. So shout outs to that one.
Okay, so I just need to correct something. Karen B's very correct there. Right? It's not a debate. It's actually an interview. So she'll be giving you an interview. If you choose to actually have an interview with Patricia Steer and her channel, which is Flat Earth and Other Hot Potatoes. Right, so you say Roxanne's live right now. Okay.
She's premiere.
Okay. Oh, she's premiering it, right? Okay.
Yeah, not live.
Right, okay. So we can watch that back. I was going to say if it was a live one, I'd have ended this right now and we could have gone over there, but it's all good.
I'm plugging both chats, Ranty. Don't worry about it. She thinks that you're there, but don't worry about it.
Right, okay. But yeah, the Globe Live tour. Did you hear about that in America?
Yeah. Give me a second. Sorry. I saw I saw something about it in the UK.
That's right, yeah.
Maybe like a couple months ago.
Yep.
Okay.
So it was a bunch of individuals that basically lived out of a caravan and they travelled throughout the whole of the UK and Ireland and did the street activism. Anthony,
I think the Americans call them RVs.
RVs, right, okay. And do you want to take it up from there? Because you've been speaking to Roxanne recently. Maybe.
Yeah, they've got they hired out an old 1994 VW something or other, and it gave them loads of electrical and mechanical problems throughout the journey continuously. This time round, they're not going to do that. They're going to hire one that's pretty much brand new. I think they might actually be buying it as part of a new business venture, so they can rent it out for the rest of the year, and then when they want to use it themselves, they're then going to actually use it. I don't know whether they're doing that or not. I just know that they're definitely not getting some old anymore. But there's that many destinations that they're going to across Europe. They're going across Finland, Sweden, Norway, dropping down into Denmark, through Germany, into France, and then all the way through the middle south part of Europe, like what used to be Yugoslavia, Croatia, round to Italy, round through Switzerland, back into the south of France, into Spain, Portugal, and then back up again. And the amount of mileage, I think it's something like 21,000 miles or something like that. It's like the diameter of the Earth kind of thing. I mean, to be honest, I couldn't think of anything worse to do all that driving, to be honest. I'd rather maybe not shoot myself, but I'd rather listen to Arwin. But basically, it's that impressive that it's going to make loads of newspapers, and it's going to be Europe wide, and it may even get a little bit of worldwide, especially if it gets to America. And it's just huge. It's the biggest news in the last couple of weeks, and massive shout outs to the whole lot that's going to be involved in that, because it's cool.
I just want to do a bit of a shout out to Cynical Skeptic. He's a gentleman that has some external hard drives and some internal hard drives. They are 6 2 terabyte internal and 4 2 terabyte external hard drives, and a handful of 750 gigabyte and some 1.5 terabyte also internal ones. Now he has these for free, basically. So if you're a flat earther out there and you're actually struggling for storage space and you need some extra storage, if you want to email me at ranty@rantyflatearth.com, then I can put you guys in touch, or if he sends them out to me, then I can also forward them on to you. So there's quite a lot of financial value in these, so it's definitely worth it if you're actually doing observations or you're you're struggling for storage space. And I know that he's actually sent some out to Jose JG Gonzalez, so he's actually had a couple of these already as well. So he's actively giving these away for free. So ranty@rantyflatearth.com if you actually need any of these. Have you seen J. Tolan Media, Diana?
Say that again?
J. Tolan Media?
Spell it.
Well, you'd have known him if you'd have seen him. It's the guy that's been doing the infrared photography.
Okay.
So basically what he's done is he's, instead of filming it in the normal spectrum, which we have, which with a normal camera, he's modified his camera and he's able to film in the different spectrum. So he's able to to film, and he's able to see much further than you would normally expect to see. And he does quite a lot of photography from planes and stuff. Anthony, you had an issue with Ruhif. If you want to talk about that.
Basically, the ballers are they're not accepting this like element of compression. We can see that these things are getting squashed in distance. Ranty's done it with boats. Red Pill Philosophy's done it with apartment blocks. Red's Rhetoric's done it with apartment blocks. And now J Toll and Media's done it with mountains. And it doesn't really matter how far away you go. These things seem to be getting squashed. Now, on a sphere, that squashing means that they interpret what they see to be it's gone behind the curve. But when you zoom into it with these new cameras, you can see that it's not gone behind no curve. It's just being squashed. Why? Who knows? Fact is, it is doing it. And it means that that which used to be curvature is now all of a sudden compression, and they don't like it. Ruhif presented an argument to say something about compression, but the opposite. And he's just another dishonest baller, I'm afraid.
Are you actually saying that a baller's misrepresenting what the actual facts are?
Yeah, they just do what you were saying before. They just say something that we say, completely twist it, misrepresent it, and then laugh at it based on their own, and present it as though it's like laughable. And it's like, that isn't what was even said, you moron. But they do it all the time. They just, Conspiracy Cats does it all the time with Ranty's work. Represents Ranty's work as proof of a globe, and then claims that Ranty's proving globe. And I'm like, Ranty was making a totally different point that wasn't even whether it's flat or not. We're just that far ahead of the game that these guys are so far behind. They don't understand what is even going on anymore, or they do understand it and are deliberately misrepresenting it, but they do it all the time.
Well, to be fair, I am actually in the dirty proof area. So as far as I know, I'm the only
We were
channel.
discussing this morning, weren't we, Ranty? So you were saying that you're quite close to the bone in terms of what you're presenting, because a typical globe head would go out and actually look to capture what you're presenting and go curve, whereas you're looking at it and pulling it apart based on our understandings as they've progressed. So it's easy for Johnny Globehead to go to your videos and go, oh, look, curve. Like, yeah, okay, stick your fingers in the ears, stick your fingers in your ears, your head in the sand, ignore everything that's been said and detailed, and just go curve, because that's what they're programmed to do. So yeah, it does make sense they go to your vids and just go curve.
Yeah.
Because that's what we're trying to pull apart. How have they hijacked what we see and called it curvature? Well, they're just going to come and ignore all of that detail and go curvature.
And then they'll literally attack me because they say that I don't have a scientific background, which, to be fair, is absolutely true. But it doesn't mean that I don't have the intelligence to actually perform this task, which is literally to analyze a set of data over a period of time. I was able to take on a degree and pass that. So it just shows that I do have the intelligence to actually hold down that kind of thought process. So when I have this information at hand, being able to dissect it and chop it up and say, okay, well, this is what I think is actually happening, and then go and prove it. So, you know, I don't have a scientific background, fair enough, but nor do these other guys that say.
I didn't pick you up on that the first time, Ranty, but I will now. You've said it twice. This standard of you not having a scientific background, you're taking pictures of stuff. The scientific bit gets inserted by Johnny Globehead when he asserts that the body of science backs his assertions. And then when it comes to you making an assertion, somehow you've got to meet that standard. Well, we've already proven time and time again that their standard is definitely not science, and you have never once claimed to be producing scientific evidence. So that standard is fallacious in the regards that they claim that standard, and we prove where they don't have it. To then turn that burden around and say, well, you must provide scientific evidence. Why? You claim this lighthouse is a slightly looming non-standard refraction hyena hologram, and yet we have to take it on faith that is actually the case when we just see it. We don't need scientific evidence to look at something and go, there it is. I can see it. No science needed. For you to tell me that it's a bloody hologram, yeah, you better dig some science out to back that shit, because I'm not just going to buy it because you tell me it's a hologram. No, I see it. I don't need science. You do, and you say you have it. So you better damn well produce it. When you say you've got evidence, it better be scientific evidence. Me, I'm not claiming science, and neither are you, Ranty. You don't have to come up to that standard. You're not claiming it.
Well, if you remember, if you go back a year or so, we had the globe that was on one side of the road, and we had the flat Earth that was on the other side of the road, and we each had our proofs. So we had the pretty proofs. So the flat Earth had the pretty proofs. We can see far. Yeah, we can see a building that shouldn't be there. The globe was, it's being loomed up. And this was the argument. This was how it was going. This is exactly what we came across. This is what we encountered. And then what I decided to do was cross over the road and stand on their toes and say, let's actually look at what you claim to be looming, and let's have a look at what you claim to be refraction, and let's have a look at what you claim is the actual curvature of the Earth. And they don't like that because my proofs for flat is dirty proofs. It isn't pretty. It isn't, I can see a building in the distance. I've got all them. You know, I've got all them. I've got all the proofs I ever need to show how flat it is over water. I've got it all. I've showed it hundreds of times, many different videos. But I've also got the dirty proofs. And it's the dirty proofs that the globe love to actually jump upon, because in their mind, they're still set that this is proof of the globe. But I'm still standing on their toes and saying, hey, this isn't actually what you're saying it is, and I can prove it. And I can prove it by this, 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 and this, and this. And that's why dirty proofs like my channel is getting such troll festing with people like Conspiracy Cats and all these other people saying that I'm a Poe for showing this kind of stuff, because in their mind they're still believing that it's still the globe proofs. They're still in 2017. This is 2019 right now, and you know, our argument has moved on. We've already passed we've moved past this idea that the inferior mirage is where the curve starts. We've moved past that. We've already moved past the point and proving whether or not looming happens. We asked them to provide proof of looming, and because they didn't for a couple of years, I went out and disproved that looming actually happened. So there's no wonder that my channel is under attack, because it's dirty proofs. I'm actually taking their assertions as what is the actual proof for their model and trampling all over it, and they don't like it. They hate it. And that's fine. That's fine, because I'm going to continue to do what I do. I can do pretty proofs. Everyone can do pretty proofs. JT Nolan, go and subscribe. Sandra, Cool Pics, P900. Beautiful photography. Yeah, everyone can watch it all day long. Nice music. Beautiful flat earth proof. You know, the hard task comes when you actually see the dirty side of what we actually see, which is the obstruction. And it's actually understanding what that obstruction is. Is it Earth curve, or is it something else? And where they used to say that it was proof of the globe, I think we're proving now that it isn't. And JT Nolan, when he released his last video, which showed the compression of that mountain, actually validated the work that I've been talking about for the last 6 months about this compression issue, which was good to hear, because that's the first time that I've seen it on his channel, which means that it's going to get out to a much bigger audience, and other people are going to actually start looking into it too. Rant over.
I'm not sure J Tolan Media's got that many subs. He's quite a new channel, isn't he?
He's got about 6,000 odd subs.
Does he? Let's have a look.
Yeah.
Go and subscribe to Arwin.
Yeah, he does 7,700 subs.
Yeah. And how many's Deanna got? Let's see, because I know that when she started, she had 252. So
I got 270.
How many?
270.
270. I see 271 here. So, guys, let's see. Let me copy that.
It'd be great if we could get her to overtake Arwin by the end of the night.
Can we have a few moments to talk about Arwin? Because he had a little meltdown this morning.
Okay, well, one sec, Nate. Right, I'm just going to spam a couple of times in the chat right now. This is Deanna's, the lady that's on the debate right now, or the the conversation right now. She's the one. This is her channel. If you want to go and subscribe over there, I would really appreciate it. Arwin, right, let's crack on. I know we had a mini breakdown today.
Did a little mini breakdown. The audience loved it.
Do you want to talk about it? Because I actually didn't see it because I was actually working. So
okay, well, basically, Arwin's been working very hard. He's been having a daily show called the Flat Earth Early Bird, which is very good, and people are partaking more and more and watching more and more. And this morning he was like, "I just want 1,000 subs. I just want to have a super chat. I want people to be able to give me money for this because I'm doing it for nothing." And he's like, 3 years I've been doing this. And I'm in the chat going, "I've been doing it 11 years, Arwin. 9 of them I didn't earn a dime. Don't worry about it. Just do it because you love it." And he's like, "Yeah, but I'm not getting anything out of it." And I'm like, "Okay, well, then you're doing the wrong thing. If you don't love it, don't worry about it." And I explained your situation because you got to the point where you had 4,000 watch time hours, massively in excess of, in fact, in excess of 1,000 subscribers. You've got everything set up in place. You applied to get your monetization and you didn't get it. Did it stop you making videos? Of course not. You were out there still making the same stuff you were anyway because you like making videos. And that's what you should do. You do what you love, right? So driving Arwin nuts genuinely needs to take a long hard look at what it's doing. But I think it's just frustration because he's done it for a while and he just wants to get to that 1,000 sub mark so he can at least apply. And he's not there yet. So if you're in the chat right now, I'll stick his link in. Just go and subscribe to him. He does have a good channel. He does put in a lot of work. He's controversial. He's good fun. He doesn't think he's got a good sense.
To be honest,
realize that.
I agree. I agree. Please subscribe to him. Nathan, spam it a few times. And we have 135 watching right now. I would really love if every single 135 went over there and subscribed. I presume that probably at least half of you over there right now are already subscribed to him. So if we can get him at least over 900, that would be excellent. Thank you very much. Anthony, you were saying?
To be honest, I think that Arwin's weakest point is that he's too gentle, meek, soft-spoken. He doesn't throw any rocks. I said to Ranty that you need to chuck rocks at some of these guys, and that's how you get them to react. And you tell them that they can't do something, and then they generally pay attention. And that's how you get closure on the point you're making and see how strong it is. Because we need these feedback from these guys to see what bullshit they come back with. But you need to throw rocks, and Arwin doesn't throw rocks at the right place. He chucks rocks within flat Earth, and he needs to be chucking rocks against these ballers. But I don't know.
He does, behind the scenes, I heard him say that Slice Barkane is an asshole and doesn't know anything about global Earth. I've heard him say that.
I heard him saying that Ruhif holds Soundly's willy, and I mean it's true. Ruhif does hold Soundly's willy.
That's right. I heard them all talking about how they were jacking off to Tim getting raped with R. So I've heard that. About these
the glory of that raped with R thing is that they deliberately chop off the with R bit, and obviously to be raped with R means that R's got to exist in the first place, and they don't realize that if R doesn't actually exist, you can't be raped by something that doesn't actually exist, and it's a reification fallacy to treat it as though you have been. And it's just glorious to watch them applying this concept that Nathan's describing, which is raping them with R, as a real thing. And it's just brilliant watching them do it because they do it with gravity, with axial rotation, with curvature. It's nonsense.
Deanna, how when you've come across these trolls, have they made you stronger and willing to go on, or have they put you off doing what you're doing? Because I haven't seen another video from you for the past week.
The reason why I haven't been making videos for the past week has nothing to do with these trolls. Honestly, like, fuck them. I don't know if I can say that on your channel, but fuck them. I really don't give a shit, but I've been sick. I went to California, and I think from just like the weather change or whatever, I ended up with a respiratory infection. On one of my recent videos, you can actually hear me, like, as I'm narrating, you can hear me like wheezing a little bit. So I decided to take some time off. And then like right when I came back from California, I had an allergic reaction. So like because of the way that I look and the way that I'm feeling, I just haven't wanted to make a video. But yeah, I definitely have not been discouraged or anything like that. I've just been using this time to focus on my health.
Cool. So you think you think you're in this for the long run, then you can actually keep up with these trolls. You can bat them off. You can, you're going to stick to what you're doing.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because, earlier you were mentioning how like I've gotten a lot of subscribers because of, the trolls as well. But even like Patricia Steer and Eric Dubay and Mark Sargent, they were actually subscribed to me before all this stuff happened. So since then, like that was probably around November when they all subscribed to me. So like since then, like I've just been like, you know what, like this is something that I should probably be doing because, you know, people are actually looking at what I'm doing, you know, people who actually matter to me, which are the flat earthers. The flat earth community is actually looking at me and they're enjoying what I'm talking about and they're interested in what I have to say. So that's all that matters. I don't give a shit about anybody else.
Well, the good thing about obviously we're doing these live streams is that right now we've got 140 people watching and there's a lot of people listening to what you're saying. And if you actually watch back this, this debate thing format that we're actually having right now, or interview, you can basically look back at it and you can see all the people that are talking about you in the chat. And what you'll see is that for the most point, most of the guys that are actually in the side chat are actually in blue. And that means that because they're in blue, they're my moderators. And they're people I trust to actually keep the chat sane. And when you look at my channel now, I don't even have 2,000 subscribers, but I have 142 people watching. And that's because I keep the chat clean. And I don't let the trolls in.
It's not because me and Nathan are here.
Nah. All right, it might be. Well, anyway, hijack the point, why don't you?
Sorry.
But yeah, the point is that I won't allow trolls in here. They know it. They get instant banned if they talk. Basically, I will let people say stuff, but if they start ad hominem attacking, then that's when it's crossing a line, and I won't allow that on the channel. So when you see it in other people's, on your chats, not chats, your comment sections and stuff, if I was you, I wouldn't have any fear at all in blocking people and getting rid of those comments because negativity, you just don't need it. Everyone can be civil if they want to be. People can talk nicely when they want to. I would talk to any globe earther. It's fine. If you're going to be talking nice to me and you're not going to misrepresent me, I will talk to you all day long and I'll debate you. But if you are in this for just one nefarious reason, which is either to gain some kind of content for your next video, or it's to misrepresent, or it's to basically set you up for a fall in some way, I don't need that. So you'll be gone. On you go. And so yeah, I would definitely that's one thing I would definitely say to you as a new starting off is that you should just ban the trolls. Definitely. Don't put up with it.
Yeah, I've been like filtering the comments and I went on there and like because what's crazy is like the most hate that I've gotten has been like racist comments. So I've been kind of like, any type of like racial slur, like I put like, how you can filter out and like put like certain words. If like something comes up with that word, it won't show up and it'll just filter that comment. So I've been doing stuff like that. And then like for some of my videos, I've been like only like, allowing comments that I approve of because the hate was so much on certain videos. Like, I mean, for about 3 days, I think it was probably about 50 comments a day that were just like, you're an idiot, 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 idiot. So I decided to start, deleting comments and filtering stuff out. And here lately, it's been a little bit more scarce, which is cool. Like it's not as much, but yeah, since I've been blocking those comments, it just looks a lot better. And I don't have a problem going back and forth with people in my comments, but I realized that I got to stop doing that.
Well, Nathan has a completely different outlook to me on that particular subject, which is I will instant ban the trolls, and that's my channel. Whereas Nathan allows a free-for-all on his debates, and it can get very entertaining.
I think I pick and choose. Like I'll usually debate with people if they're not insulting. If you say something against what I'm talking about, that's fine, just as long as you're not calling me out of my name, saying something racist, or, threatening me or my family. As long as you're not doing that, I have no problem going back and forth with people in my comments.
Oh, wow. Well, Deanna, you've just started out in the flat earth, and I have to say that if you've just started out and you haven't had any of that, you literally haven't actually earned your stripes yet. Yeah. Because I've had it all.
You'll get your stripes. There's 3 things that have got to happen for you to be a proper flat earther. Number 1, you've got to appear on Patricia's show. Number 2, you've got to be accused of either being a transgender or an agent by Pete Shea. And number 3, have you come across Pete Shea yet?
No, but there's so many channels that talk about flat earthers and like, you know, conspiracy theories being transgender. So I just thought it was funny.
Oh yeah, Pete Shea's the best one for accusing you of it. We've all been accused of it, so don't take it personal, right?
He's not accused me of being transgender. Thank you very much.
No, but he's accused you of being an agent, and it's one or the other, right?
Okay, go on.
So you got to be on Patricia's show. You've got to be accused of being an agent or a transgender from Pete Shea, and then the third one that makes you a proper flat earther. Let's have a think. I'll come back to you.
There's all sorts. There's doxing. There's
you'll get doxed.
Porn bombing.
Your mum and dad will get a Christmas card from trolls at Christmas and stuff like that, and it's like, where did they come from?
Oh, don't forget the death threats and the phone calls.
Yeah. You'll get doxed.
You know. So yeah, I mean,
I've gotten death threats. I'm surprised I haven't gotten any emails yet because I put my email address on one of my videos or like in the comments. I'm surprised nobody's emailed me yet, but I've gotten lots of death threats on my comments. I've gotten, you know, the racist stuff. I've gotten a few people react to my videos. So I feel like I'm almost there. And I know a lot of flat earthers, they get strikes and I don't understand why. And nobody ever does anything that's against the community guidelines.
You can't trust flat earthers. Don't trust anybody. Honestly, there's only a handful. I'll tell you what you need to know. You need to know the females that are in flat earth, in the flat earth, so that you can...
Yeah, I do, because I realize that I don't know too many. I only know of 2.
Yeah, you need to cozy up to them because these are your friends. Karen B, she's one. You've got Patricia being obviously another. Who else is there, Ranty? Think of females.
Roxanne.
Yeah, Roxanne, Globalist Denier. Marilyn Wisby. What other females are there?
Globebusters, Mrs.
Cammy Nodell. Come on, Nathan, you know more women.
Okay, you've got to spell these for me.
Well, what I'll do is I will email you. I will email you all their links, and you can subscribe to them. And I'm sure, do you know something? Now, what I'll do is I'll probably add you on Skype as well, and I'll probably I'll create a new group, and then I'll spam it in the people. I'll talk to these people, and then I'll get them to join, and then you can start interacting with them on Skype and stuff. Does that sound good?
You didn't mention Bling Bling.
Bling Bling. Yes. Oh, and the other one, NASA Lies. I Spy NASA Lies.
Zoe, Be Here and Love. There's loads. There's loads of flat Earth women.
Well, we asked you, but you just went AWOL for a minute.
I was asking my wife.
Ah, right. So she knew, you didn't.
Yeah, well, there is quite a few.
No. What's Karen B put no for? I have no idea why she's put no.
Probably answering Pete Shea's most recent question, whether she's an agent or not.
Is that what he's asking her?
Probably. I don't know. Maybe not. Don't ban him.
I was literally finger on the button to ban him then.
Yeah, it was. Ban him.
You can time him out though if he's being a knob. You know, I mean, I like Pete. I like his passion. I like his channel. I like his music. I like what he does.
Just time him out anyway.
I just think he's completely wrong with this transgender rubbish that he runs. And if he would get over that, at least just get over it. And there's a couple of other small issues that I disagree with him on as well. But if he would get over that,
I get a mention that you'll get accused of tranny as well. Did that get mentioned?
Who did?
It did. It already came up that you'll get called a tranny.
Oh wow, his lives are long. 5 hours, 4 hours.
Oh, Pete Shea.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Pete Shea. He's just entertainment. I'll be honest. He's entertainment, and he does have an interesting theory about Aristarchus and the moon. So you know, I'm kind of interested in that, but that's about as far as it really goes with him. He's got a lot of, in my opinion, false claims with different people. He does tend to go after some of the ladies on Flat Earth. I don't know why he has this issue with ladies. We had a guest on recently. I can't remember her name now. Anthony, help me out. I'm
responding to someone. What was your question?
Constance Burns, yeah. And when she came on, he made a derogatory comment in the side chat about her appearance, for which I took his wrench off him, and then he ended up getting banned. He's actually done the same with Patricia Steer. So he does seem to target the women. I don't know why. I don't know what his issue is with women at all. But, you know, if he, you know, I don't know if he's ever going to change. It's just the way he is.
It's just projection. Actually, Pete Shea is a transgender MI5 agent.
Yeah.
He was actually born as E.T.
That's a soundbite. You know someone's going to make that stock account now, don't you? Pete says he has no issue with women. Well, why do you comment on what they look like? Listen, Pete, everybody is different. They have different shapes. They have different sizes, right? People get older, they change. You know, do you think everyone's a supermodel? And in your opinion, if they don't look like a supermodel, they're a transgender or something else going on with them. And, you know, Pete, I have to say, you know, when you start talking like that, you know, I'm prepared to ban you for it. Literally prepared to ban you for it. And I won't have a second thought I won't feel bad about it.
Oh, and I'm subscribed to Karen B already.
Have you ever heard Karen B speak?
Yes. Well, only on.
Yeah, she has a voice for radio. She sounds fab.
Yeah, her voice is very what do you call that? I don't know the word. I don't want to say soothing, but she does have like a really good like radio voice.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah, the last video that I saw, I think it was a Neil deGrasse Tyson video that she did maybe about a month ago.
Yeah, Karen, she's out there. She's part of FE Core. Have you heard of FE Core?
No.
Okay, Anthony, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
I'm glad I did this live with you guys because I am so clueless.
It's a massive community that we're all in, right? And we're all generally on the same side. We don't all agree on everything, and we disagree on quite a lot of stuff because there's no science for a flat Earth. That's the number one line that you need to remember. There is no science for a flat Earth, so we're all kind of pissing in the wind. But also, just shy away from claiming that the Earth's flat. I know Nathan does. I don't say that the Earth's flat because I realise that brings with it a burden of proof to prove that it is flat. And if we've only got a P900 and a compass, what can you expect, really? Nathan does say it's obviously and observably flat, and that's fine. I don't agree with him, but that doesn't mean that it's the end of the world. It just means that I want the easier conversation. I want the you can't prove your shit conversation. I don't want the well, I've got to now try and prove that it's flat because that's double the burden. I'd rather just discuss the fact that they can't prove their model. But it's a really good community, and there's a lot of good people in it. And if someone doesn't agree with you, don't take it personal because, well, we don't all agree with each other because we don't really know what we're living on. So the bigger picture is anything's really up for debate.
Not really. It is actually flat. That's
We've got Bible literist in the. How did we get her?
Yes, Paula.
Okay.
And
I went to the chat just to I don't want to play the video while I'm on here because I'm obviously on my phone. I don't want it to echo, but I'm reading the comments and I'm clicking all your moderators looking at their YouTube channels.
Oh, right. Well, we've got some, right. For instance, right. You see Kinel there. There's a lady there called Kinel. Now,
great. Sorry, that's a great YouTube name. So that's like a play on a British way of speaking where you would say fucking hell, but you'd say it by missing off a few vowels and syllables and you end up with Kinel.
Yeah.
That's funny.
It's great name.
Okay, I went to her channel.
Well, Kinel, she was doing quite a lot of live streams, you know, a bit like what we're doing now. However, she left the Hangout link open and she actually got porn bombed. So one of the trolls that were in there were sitting silently in the chat, waiting for her to make a mistake. She made a mistake. She displayed a Hangout link and somebody jumped in there, kicked her out of her own chat, porn bombed her chat, and then had a strike against her channel, which means that she can no longer live stream for the next 3 months. I think she's only got a month or so to go now, but it's beside the point. The point is that if you ever think that you are safe doing what we do, always be prepared for the worst. So when I'm like now, I'm holding this hangout. If I somehow somebody got the hangout link and passed it to the globe side, somebody on the globe side would try and enter this live stream uninvited, kick us all out, play porn on my channel to get me a strike so that I can't live stream for 3 months. And this is the tactics that they will use. We have Nathan. Nathan's channel is under attack right now. There are steps being taken to resolve this. But essentially, it's the same sort of tactic. They can't debate us on facts and truth, and they can't debate us on scientific proofs of their globe religion. So, because when you hold the toes to the fire for so long and they're burning, there gets a point where they literally have to lash out, and they lash out by trying to get your channel shut down, because it's like sticking the fingers in their ear and saying, it's not real, it's not real. We do live on a globe, we do live on a globe. And this is like the religious mantra that they keep chanting rather than looking at the evidence. And so they will try to silence you at every opportunity. So be aware.
A couple of things. So Deanna pointed out, some people might not be aware that you can do this, but I assume this is how Deanna's been doing it. If you actually click on the little, I think it's the little dots that are next to people's names in the chat feed, you can go to their channel. So try it with Bible Literalist. You just click on those dots, go to channel, and then you subscribe to Bible Literalist. It's that easy. And many people who are in this arena don't do that. So while the people who are a bit more zombified on the globe side will be told by a YouTuber, go and subscribe to this Mongol, and they go and subscribe to him and then moan about the use of the word Mongol for about 10 hours on a video that's really dull. But they're shouting each other out on it. Do you see what I mean? And I'm encouraging people in the chat to go and subscribe to Armin, and I mean it sincerely. He's gone up from, I don't know, less than 900 to about 916 subscribers just during this live stream. You think, yeah, well, why not? You should be subscribed to Armin, and there's no detriment to us to shout him out. You know, he does so much on the Flat Earth debate. He's been there the entire time. So for us to just shout him out a bit more, there's no harm in that. And for people to just go and click on his icon, and if they see him going by in the chat, and just check him out, it's worth checking out the people who are in these channels. It's still a small corner, so there's a good chance that the people who are in the chat feeds are actually videographers and making content. You know, that's a high chance. If you go to a computer vlog or whatever, you click on a random person in the chat and they're just not going to be making content, whereas here they are. There's a good chance that they will be.
I don't know what happened. I just disappeared and now I'm back.
If that happens, if you're on a mobile, it's just like a glitch with Google. It occasionally kick out every mobile phone user. So on the Hangouts that we do with the debate, sometimes the whole, well, not whole, but a good chunk of the panel will just drop all instantly. And then they'll all one by one just come back on because they're on a mobile phone. So you'll see Jose and Chocolate saying just drop, and then they'll come back a few minutes or a few seconds later. But yeah, don't worry about it.
Yeah, and if you've not heard of the channel, Jose J.G. Gonzalez, he's just put a comment in the chat now. He's actually got Jeranism's old P900. He's actually has that camera, and he's actually out there filming the flat Earth in, I forget where he lives now. That's a bit of a shitter.
Texas.
In where?
Texas.
Texas.
That could almost be a bit of an insult, couldn't it? So Jose's out and about, and someone goes up to him and goes, "Hey, are you Jose?" And he goes, "Yay, Jose Soundly Slayer Gonzalez." They go, "Wow, can I see that camera?" Was that Jaron? Wow, was that really Jaron's camera? Wow,
That's
Jaron's camera.
I would love to like use a P900 or a P1000 out here in Nevada, just because, like, for one, like, I'm high up, and then there's like hiking trails out here where I can actually go up into the mountains and look, and I just really want to do that. So
you're in Nevada as well. I mean, that's been on the map recently, literally been on the map. Anthony, you remember, you recall.
Reading a couple of things about Nevada as far as like conspiracies and flat Earth goes.
Go ahead.
Well, just because for one, because of Area 51 being here. And so a lot of people have a lot of conspiracies, of course, about that whole thing. And then what else did I hear? Okay, like you know how I don't know how far you are as far as how do you feel about like the forest and stuff? Like I don't a lot of people have different ideas about there actually being forests on Earth when it comes to flat Earth and all that. I don't know if you guys are like into that.
Into what, forests?
You know, there's some flat earthers who believe that there's no forest on Earth and that the real trees have been like chopped down and they were actually way, way bigger and there were giants and stuff.
Yeah, I'm not averse to that idea either, to be fair. I mean, it doesn't mean that I agree with it. I haven't really looked into it 100%, but the few videos that I've seen, you know, there's credence to their claim, in my opinion.
Yeah, I wanna research a little bit and I kind of want to see how close I can get to Area 51 out here. I've been looking so much into it just because I live in Nevada. And so I kind of want to research it. And then when it comes to like having a camera, I want to be able, I don't know, I feel like maybe I can get like a closer look or something because I think I think Nevada is pretty high up. I think we're like 4,000 feet above sea level or something like that.
Yeah, Anthony, I'm sure that's where the observation took place with the flat Earth data. Am I right?
Phoenix, Arizona. Don't know.
Okay, so that's still pretty close anyway.
No, but Thrive and Survival is in, or he used to, oh no, he's moved now. He used to live in Phoenix, Arizona.
Math Powerland, have you heard of him?
Yeah, Thrive and Survive is a good channel. Are you familiar with him?
No.
Mr. Thrive and Survive. Good guy.
Thrive and Survive.
Mr. Thrive and Survive. He's not always right, and he's quite renegade. He works generally on his own, but he's fundamentally a decent guy.
Yeah, going back to the trees though, I think there was a time when things were bigger, and I keep going back to this, and I'll say it again. That I was brought up in a religious environment. However, I'm not religious right now. Doesn't mean that I don't believe there's a creator. It just means that I haven't got time right now to look into that because there's so many religions that could all be correct. And right now, my focus is on proving the flat Earth, and if that brings other people to finding the creator, then so be it. But elaborating from this is that in the Bible, for instance, there's a lot of history in the Bible that I believe is true. You know, Anthony's recently informed me that they actually found Noah's Ark, for instance. I mean, that blew me away. I mean, it just confirms my opinion that all of the scriptures and all the stuff that's been spoken in them, for the most part, are history handed down and written onto into a book. And you know, there's a lot of truth in it. So when they talk, you know, when you hear things from different, like the Greeks and stuff about the giants and all this kind of stuff, and then you see people doing videos about petrified giants, and they found these petrified giant remains in rocks and stuff, and then you're like, holy shit, that looked just like a fucking human being crouched down, you know. And then you look and you're like, holy, that is literally a man just in, you know, that's been turned to rock. It literally looks like that, like a man's just been turned to rock. But this man is like 300 foot long, you know, I mean, he's a ginormous. So when you see all this kind of stuff in the world and you realize that things like star forts, for instance, have been hidden from us. Have you heard of a star fort before?
A star fort?
That tells me you haven't. Right, have you heard of castles?
Yes.
Okay, so can you imagine a castle, right? But then imagine another thing called a star fort, right? That is perhaps 10 times bigger, 10 times prettier, 10 times more protective for its inhabitants, And there are literally hundreds of them throughout the entire world where people used to live in them and be protected by them. They had their own irrigation systems. They're far superior in every way, shape, and form to castles, and yet you haven't even heard about them. Does that blow your mind to actually think that?
Isn't that reminds me of like, isn't that like Minecraft?
I don't know. I don't really play computer games, but are you on your computer? Well, are you at a computer right now that you can just look up Star Force?
I'm looking right now, and that's what it looked like to me. That's why I was like, it's like,
just click an image, just click images, Star Force, then click images, and then go, wow, look at all those Star Force. Holy shit, look at them, man. Where'd they come from? Well, what the fuck?
That's interesting.
Like, how come you've never been told about these things? Why have you never, ever heard of a Star Force? Why have you never been told about them? What were they for? Who inhabited them? Where did they come? You know, who built them? How old are they? You know, why is it not in our history? You know, and this is what Martin Leakedy goes into. So when I actually mentioned his channel before, just fantastic. You know, I mean, literally what we think is our history, I absolutely believe is fake history. We don't have the real history. People are uncovering the real history bit by bit. It's a bit of an arduous thing. If you think that the Vatican, for instance, has most of the scripts and books and old things that have been stored away and stashed away and hidden from humanity, basically. But several of these still survive here and there, and people have been able to attain these and share this information. And you know, slowly but surely, we are getting to this point where we're understanding what the hell's been going on in the past. And we all know that we've been deceived, we've been lied to. We're even been lied to in our own time right now. 9/11, we all know we have been lied to in 9/11. Everybody knows it. Yet the official narrative will, in 50 years or 100 years, it will be cemented in concrete that that's what went down. Planes hit the buildings, the terrorists struck, you know, these guys out of a cave attacked 9/11, and boom, and that's the official narrative. And in 100 years' time, everybody that exists right now, everybody that's alive will be dead. Everybody that was there to witness it firsthand will be dead. But the official narrative will stay on, and that's what will be passed down. But literally everybody knows right now that that was bullshit, right? So if they can change history right now in front of everybody that's awake as we are right now with the internet and everything else that's going on, how easy would it have been for them to change history back in the 1900s? At the start of the last century, at the end of the Victorian era, at the start of the 1800s, how easy would it have been for them to change history, to dupe the people? Because we didn't have connections. People lived in villages. They might have known the next village and the village after, but they didn't know someone 100 miles away. You know, there was no communication. They could make history anything they wanted. And the official narrative stuck.
Oh, I've been meaning to subscribe to Poopy Pants 69. I don't know if they're male or female, but they always like defend me when I post videos.
Poopy's always there. She's always got my back. I think everybody in the chat right now that has a blue wrench, everybody has earned my respect. So, you know, if you look at all these names that are in there and you can remember these names, and you know, you won't go far wrong if you ever do a live stream and you have these people. Multi-Tom, for instance, there, he has to be the most active, along with perhaps who would you say would be the nearest to Multi-Tom? Anthony.
Nearest to Multi-Tom in what way?
In defending the flat Earth against the trolls, so he's always active in the chat. Ute, John Watson, and Multi-Tom. There's three that are in there, and these guys are always in there defending the flat earthers against the globers. They constantly are on their back at every second, every minute of every day that you're on a live stream.
Enough.
They've got you back. So
okay, I'm going through the list looking at their content and stuff.
we don't even need to worry about too much about the content, because a lot of these guys don't actually have content. So they'll just be the protectors of the flat earthers, and that's what they do. They protect, they keep the trolls at bay, they keep them entertained in the chat, so they don't have time to attack fresh people that come in, because these guys will defend. They really are the first line of defense, seriously. So big thumbs up to these guys. Right, I'm gonna round out now anyway. We've been going for a couple of hours and don't want to wear everybody out. So
Yeah.
So thanks very much everybody for turning up. Nathan, is there anything you want to say about going forward, about what's happening in your near future or later on in the year? Is there anything you want to talk about, or are you just
Specifically, your question is the bit I can't answer, so I don't know if it's going to be in a week's time or 3 months' time. I have no idea. But I will say, very nice to meet you, Deanna. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Nice to meet you.
So that's Nathan Oakley 1980. That's his channel name. Or he has a secondary channel, Nathan Oakley. He also has Oakley Cord, and he does the flat Earth debates from there. We have Anthony. Do you want to say anything before you go?
Do you remember that saying when we were kids, say no to drugs? Or my favourite saying is say no to gravity. Because until they can prove it, they can't have it. And there's no evidence for gravity. So say no to gravity. And on that note, I'm out of here. Nice to meet you, by the way.
Nice to meet you.
Deanna, do you want to say anything to my audience before you go?
This was really awesome. I enjoyed having this conversation. I got a lot of information about flat earthers that I had no idea existed. So I thought that was really awesome. I learned some new information. And thanks. And I got some more subscribers. So that was cool. I appreciate it. And I enjoyed talking to all of you guys. So
Mind if I do a little blessing?
Go on then.
Fire away, Nathan.
Radius Dominus Gravitas Spiritus Sanctus Arwin. Go in peace, in R you trust.
Goodbye, everybody. Bye-bye.
bye.
Till next time.
All